Chapter 7:13. Then he pulled her other hand. Seeing that all her fingers were intact, Chu Xiaobai let out a long sigh of relief. It was a good thing the one injured was not her. "Your Highness, this is bad, someone has come in." Hearing the footsteps, it should be King Ding Yuan. Shui Feng, who was guarding the door, suddenly came into the stone room and spoke with an anxious expression. He saw Chu Xiaobai kneeling in front of the bed and pulling her hands from under the blanket, looking up and down and touching them. He was instantly so angry that his nose became crooked. "Chu Xiaobai, what are you doing? Do you know who she is?" He angrily charged forward and slapped Chu Xiaobai's hand away. "Of course I know who she is. What do you think I'm doing? I'm not taking advantage of her. I'm just worried that she's injured." Chu Xiaobai lowered his voice and stared at him. "Nonsense. Do you think that Shui Feng's eyes are blind? You're clearly taking advantage of her." Shui Feng's words came to an abrupt stop. He suddenly noticed the blood and broken fingers on the ground and began to stammer. This. Whose fingers are these? It wouldn't be the princess. Her, right? Of course not. Luckily it's not. Chu Xiaobai also heard the approaching footsteps and his expression became anxious. "This is bad, my third brother is back. We can't leave in time, what do we do?" Shui Feng did not know what to do. He gritted his teeth and said, "How about we fight him? This subordinate doesn't believe that the two of us can't beat him." "Stupid. We're in the wrong for this matter, how can we fall out with him?" Chu Xiaobai stared at Shui Feng, thinking that he was really muddle-headed. He actually asked Shui Feng, that blockhead, what to do. He did not have time to think about it as he wrapped Chen Ning in the blanket. He wanted to carry her away, but he suddenly heard the sound of chains clanking against each other, making him instantly shocked. He looked down and his eyes turned red because he saw that there were 2 chains around her ankles. There were also 2 chains around the head of the bed. So third brother had actually locked her here. Just like a criminal. Chu Xiaobai was filled with rage as he gritted his teeth. He wanted to charge out and beat Chu Xiaoyang up. When Shui Feng saw this situation, he was angry and furious, but he didn't have time to think. He took out his dagger and used his internal strength to cut off her ankles. Chu Xiaobai held her in his arms and then rolled off the bed. His entire body was already under the bed as he said in a low voice, "Shui Feng, quickly come in." Shui Feng was stunned for a second before shaking his head and saying, "This subordinate does not like hiding under the bed." He was the emperor's best hidden guard, so he was proficient in hiding. If he found a place to hide, Chu Xiaoyang would not be able to find him. Chu Xiaobai heard that Chu Xiaoyang's footsteps were already in front of the stone door, so he did not dare make a single sound. The thick curtains in front of the bed hung down, blocking all the light outside. If he had not deliberately lifted the curtains to look under the bed, he would not have noticed them. In the darkness, Chu Xiaobai couldn't see Chen Ning's face. He could only feel her rapid breathing on his neck, bringing with it a sweet scent. It was a really nice smell, almost making him drunk. But he immediately realized that something was wrong. His third brother's internal strength was very strong, he couldn't let him hear her breathing no matter what, otherwise he would be able to guess that they were hiding in the stone room. Chapter 7:14. Chu Xiaoyang did not notice that they were hiding under the bed. When he saw that Chen Ning had disappeared from the bed, his first thought was that she had been taken away by someone. He did not think that she was actually still in the stone room, so he angrily chased after her. When Chu Xiaoyang's footsteps went far away and could no longer be heard, Shui Feng came out from the darkness and called out to the bed in a soft voice. "Your Highness, he's gone. Let's quickly leave." The bed curtains were lifted and Chu Xiaobai came out holding Chen Ning. His clothes were slightly wrinkled and his handsome face was completely red. Shui Feng couldn't help feeling suspicious seeing this. Your Highness, why is your face red? He was straightforward and could not hide the words in his heart, so he directly asked. Woo, hot. There's no ventilation in here, it's just too hot. Chu Xiaobai's face was red as he stuttered. He couldn't help raising the back of his hand to wipe his face. But after wiping it, his face became even redder. Hot. But why doesn't this subordinate feel hot? Shui Feng was even more suspicious. You blockhead, how would you know what's hot or cold? Don't waste words, let's quickly leave this place. Chu Xiaobai held Qin Ning and quickly walked out of the stone door. Shui Feng was filled with questions, but he could only keep them in his heart as he followed behind Chu Xiaobai. The two of them left the secret passage and came to the fake mountain in the garden. Hearing Chu Xiaoyang angrily giving out orders to find someone, the two of them couldn't help secretly smiling. The cool night wind blew on his cheeks and Chu Xiaobai felt the heat on his cheeks slowly recede. However, the young man's heart was still beating wildly. A kind of mysterious joy began to spread in his heart. This was a secret that he could not tell anyone, a secret that he would always bury in his heart, a secret that he would never share with anyone. Under the dark bed, when he heard Chu Xiaoyang leave the stone room, he could feel that she could no longer hold her breath. The body wrapped in the blanket was struggling in his arms, so he quickly let go of her nose. She took a few breaths before reaching out in a daze. She wrapped her arms around his neck and kissed his face. In the darkness, Chu Xiaobai felt a soft and hot thing touch his cheek and he was instantly stunned. He held her in a daze, not reacting at all like a statue at all. After a long time, when Shui Feng's voice came from outside, he came back to his senses and realized what had touched his cheek. It was her lips, soft and warm. His cheek still had the sweet smell of her lips. His heart softened into a pool of warm water. It was as if he could hear the sound of flowers blooming, and his face became even hotter. In the dark under the bed, he suddenly became a garden in heaven. He really wanted to hold her like this and stay here for the rest of his life. However, his reason still prevailed over the desire in his heart. He knew that he was holding a girl who did not belong to him. All of his fantasies were unrealistic dreams and fantasies that he should not have. Even if she had taken the initiative to kiss him just now, it must have been an unconscious action on her part because he knew that the person she liked was not him. He would keep this short and sweet secret and savor it by himself. Your Highness, this subordinate will distract their attention. You can take this chance to leave with the princess consort, King Ding Yuan will not notice. Shui Feng hid in the fake mountain and watched as the guards of the king's palace searched around like headless flies. They even lifted up the ground. Chapter 7:15. Alright, we'll do as you say. Chu Xiaobai nodded. Shui Feng was prepared to jump out, but he suddenly stopped. He looked at Chu Xiaobai and said, Your Highness, please let this subordinate use this blanket. Chu Xiaobai was stunned. He tightly hugged her in his embrace and vigilantly said, What do you want to do? Her clothes were not covering her body in his embrace and she was relying on this blanket to cover her. This stinky brat, did he want to see her body? Your Highness, this subordinate wants to make a false impression and make people think that the princess consort has been taken away by this subordinate. What does Your Highness think this subordinate wants to do? Shui Feng felt Chu Xiaobai's hostility and scratched his head in confusion. Chu Xiaobai was stunned. He knew that he had misunderstood Shui Feng's meaning, but give him the blanket. Absolutely not. His eyes turned and he took off his white robe. He raised his right hand and cut off a piece of rock. Then he wrapped the robe around the rock and threw it into Shui Feng's embrace. Just use this. Your Highness, this. Isn't it too heavy? Shui Feng held the heavy rock in his embrace and couldn't help being stunned. His Highness really knew how to make things difficult for him. If he held this burden, his qinggong would be greatly reduced and he might be caught by King Dingyuan. Your qinggong is number 1 in the world. Even if you hold this rock, my third brother won't be able to catch you. Chu Xiaobai gave Zhui Feng a compliment without anyone noticing. Zhui Feng was instantly filled with excitement as he revealed a smile. Your Highness qinggong is also very good. Although it's a bit worse than this subordinate's, you can still be considered a top expert. Chu Xiaobai stomped his foot. Why aren't you going? Yes, this subordinate will follow your orders. Zhui Feng received Chu Xiaobai's praise and his body felt light as he held the large rock as he jumped out of the cave. He purposely revealed himself in front of the guards, causing them to yell loudly. He's here. Your Highness. The thief is escaping. Zhui Feng used his qinggong and gently jumped onto the roof. Although he was holding a large rock, he was still as light as a swallow. When Chu Xiaobai saw this, he couldn't help secretly admiring him. There were many people in the courtyard holding torches, making the night look like it was daytime. Zhui Feng's movement technique was fast, but it was still noticed by the guards. Your Highness, he's on the roof. Everyone began to shout out. The guards moved ladders and built a human wall because they did not have Zhui Feng's qinggong, so no one could jump up. A purple figure flashed and also jumped onto the roof. That person was Chu Xiaoyang. Zhui Feng couldn't help grinning. Seeing that he had attracted his target, he ran away. Chu Xiaoyang saw that he was holding something in his arms that looked like a person. His intuition told him that it was Chen Ning, so he immediately chased after him without touching the ground. The two of them began to run across the rooftops, like 2 bolts of lightning flying across the night sky. Chu Xiaobai used this chance to carry Chen Ning out of the fake mountain. He quickly jumped over the wall and disappeared into the night. Zhui Feng deliberately ran around the king's palace, luring Chu Xiaoyang to chase after him, allowing Chu Xiaobai to escape safely. Chapter 7:16. Little thief, let go of this king's princess and this king will spare you from death. Chu Xiaoyang could see that the other side was weak, so he cursed through gritted teeth. Zhui Feng's heart filled with joy. He thought that this King Dingyuan was truly blind, actually thinking that the stone in his arms was the princess consort. His eyes turned and he already had an idea. Seeing that there was a mirror-like lake in front of him, he jumped off the roof and ran towards the little mirror lake. Chu Xiaoyang followed closely behind. Zhui Feng ran to the side of the lake and suddenly threw the stone in his arms into the lake. He shouted, "All right, give your princess back." With a pudong sound, the water splashed in all directions. The stone fell into the lake and sank down. Ning-er. Chu Xiaoyang gave a heart-piercing cry. Without even thinking, he jumped into the dark lake. He fell into the ripples of the lake and reached out to grab something. He felt a corner of his clothes and his heart filled with joy. He forcefully pulled it into his chest and felt as light as a feather. Gulu, gulu. He didn't know how to swim, so he drank several mouthfuls of water, but his hand still tightly held onto the corner of his clothes. His Highness has fallen into the water. Quickly save His Highness. The guards that came after began to shout out as they all jumped into the lake like dumplings. Everyone began to fish and soon they brought Chu Xiaoyang ashore with a belly full of water. Save her, quickly save her. Chu Xiaoyang pointed at the lake and said while gasping for breath. The guards looked at each other in blank dismay, not knowing what His Highness wanted them to save. They had fished for a while in the lake, but they had only fished out a single Chu Xiaoyang. Are you all deaf? This king wants you to go down and save her. If anything happens to the princess, this king will turn you all into mincemeat. Chu Xiaoyang angrily said. With a kick, he sent a wet guard into the lake. When the guards heard that the princess was still in the lake, they did not dare hesitate and they all jumped into the lake. The lake was completely dark and they couldn't see their fingers in front of them, so they could only close their eyes and search. "We've found the princess consort. We've found the princess consort." One of the guards felt a leg and immediately grabbed it, dragging it towards the shore of the lake. Chu Xiaoyang was filled with joy. He stood up and looked into the lake. He heard a splash in the lake and a guard's head popped out. He spat out a mouthful of water and shouted, "What princess consort, you're grabbing my leg." "Oh, sorry." The guard from before quickly let go. He was afraid that Chu Xiaoyang would scold him and jumped back into the water. "Bastard! Waste!" Chu Xiaoyang angrily cursed out, wishing he could cut off the heads of these guards. Shui Feng, who was hiding in the willow tree on the shore, couldn't help laughing. His heart was thinking, go ahead and fish. Even if you fish until dawn, you won't be able to find the princess consort. At most, you'll be able to find a large stone wrapped in clothes. He looked at the angry Chu Xiaoyang with schadenfreude and curled his lips. He used his qinggong and silently left, not being discovered by a single person. Chu Xiaoyang stood on the shore. The guards had searched the lake for an entire night, but they didn't find anything. The guards were all frozen and their bodies were trembling. But if they couldn't find the princess consort, no one dared to come ashore. Even when the sky was bright, the guards were still struggling in the lake. Chu Xiaoyang's heart had already turned cold and his face was filled with despair. Chapter 717. But he couldn't not fish, he couldn't not fish. He had to see her alive and dead. He had to see her. His heart was filled with regret. Why did he have to drug her? Why did he have to force her? Didn't he promise to treat her well? Why did he disregard her wishes time and time again and do things that she could not accept? She knew how to swim. If it wasn't for the drug making her lose her mind, she would not have drowned at the bottom of the lake. It was him who harmed her. It was him, it was him, it was him. There was a strong cry in his heart, as if there was a knife twisting in his heart, making him feel so much pain that he wanted to die. Chu Xiaoyang looked at the ice-cold lake in a daze and slowly walked over. The lake water covered his boots, his knees, his waist, and his neck. He walked step by step into the depths of the lake. She was dead, she was killed by him. What meaning was there in living in this world? It would be better if he followed her. Perhaps she had not gone far on the road to the underworld and he could still catch up to her. Otherwise, she would be lonely by herself. With him by her side, she would not be afraid, right? Perhaps if she saw him leave with her, she wouldn't blame or resent him anymore, right? At the bottom of his heart, there was a faint hope and joy. She did not choose him in this life, so in the next life, he would fight to find her before anyone else. After he found her, he would never let go, and he would never give anyone the chance to steal her heart away from him. The lake water covered his nose and ears and began to fill his lungs. It was very uncomfortable, but he still had a smile on his face. "Ning, I'm coming to accompany you. Walk slowly and wait for me." He silently said this in his heart. He opened his arms and threw himself into the deep embrace of the lake. "Your Highness. Don't. Your Highness, Your Highness. Quickly save Your Highness." The guards did not know what His Highness wanted to do before, but when he was completely submerged in the lake, everyone realized that His Highness wanted to drown himself in the lake. Everyone was scared out of their wits. They threw themselves forward, pulling his legs and hugging his waist, bringing Chu Xiaoyang back to the shore. Chu Xiaoyang was lying on the shore facing the sky. The sunlight shined through the clouds and onto his body, but he could not feel the slightest bit of warmth, only a bone-chilling cold. He closed his eyes. 2 streams of tears rolled down from the corners of his eyes and into his wet, black hair. He clenched the corner of her clothes in his hand. This was the last thing she had left him. Suddenly, He opened his eyes, feeling that something was wrong. He brought the corner of his robe to his eyes and carefully looked at it. It was a piece of fine white snow satin. The silk was dense and woven with dark patterns of bamboo. But he clearly remembered that she was wearing a light blue silk undergarment, not this snow satin at all. Could it be that the person who fell into the lake wasn't her? Could it be that he had been deceived? Found it. Your Highness, this subordinate has found it. A guard's head popped out of the lake. He was carrying a white object in his arms as he struggled to walk to the shore. Chu Xiaoyang jumped up and charged forward. When he saw what it was, his chest almost exploded with rage. What the guard was holding was just a long stone wrapped in white clothes. It wasn't Chen Ning at all. Chapter 7:18. Chu Xiaoyang was filled with rage. He was filled with rage and his eyes turned red. Chu Xiaobai, it's you, it must be you. This king knows that this matter must have been done by you. You are the only one who has this snow satin, there isn't a second person in the entire capital that has it. Chu Xiaobai, good, you're really good. He was furious to the extreme. His handsome face became twisted and sinister, and his whole body was trembling. Suddenly, his anger turned into fear, a deep fear that came from the bottom of his heart. She had been drugged. Moreover, the drug would become stronger and stronger. When he left her, she was already unconscious and had even mistaken him for Mo Chuan. Now that she was in Chu Xiaobai's hands, what would happen between the two of them? He did not even dare think about it. She was this charming and she had been stripped down to her underwear. When Chu Xiaobai saw her jade-like body, how could the hot-blooded young man hold himself back? This was equivalent to personally sending her into Chu Xiaobai's embrace. Chu Xiaoyang almost vomited blood. Someone, gather all the guards for this king. We're going to King Jing'an's palace and bring back this king's princess. He loudly ordered. But thinking about it, what if Chu Xiaobai did not bring her back to the palace and instead brought her to a place that no one knew about? What would he do then? Chu Xiaobai, if you dare touch a single finger of this king's woman, this king will cut you piece by piece. His eyes turned blood red and he almost spat out blood. Chu Xiaobai carried Chen Ning out of the palace. He ran through the darkness and for a while, he did not know where to go. Should he bring her back to his palace? No. This was because he knew that he could not hide the fact that he had taken her away for long. He had left the snow satin robe behind, which was equivalent to telling Chu Xiaoyang that he was the one who did it. So the first place Chu Xiaoyang would look for was his King Jing'an palace. Send her back to the eldest princess palace. No. If he couldn't find her in his palace, Chu Xiaoyang would definitely go to the eldest princess palace. The guards in the eldest princess palace could not stop Chu Xiaoyang at all. Should he send her to the palace? Send her to the emperor's side? That's not right either. The palace was filled with Empress Dowager Zhou's eyes and ears. If Empress Dowager Zhou knew that she personally sent her to the emperor's side, she would never forgive herself in this lifetime. Although Empress Dowager Zhou was not his blood-related grandmother, she had always treated him very well. In Chu Xiaobai's heart, Empress Dowager Zhou was his closest relative and he didn't want Empress Dowager Zhou to be sad. After thinking about it, Chu Xiaobai finally thought of the best place to go because he felt that something was wrong with her. It wasn't just a little off, it was extremely off. When he was in the stone room, he only took a quick glance and didn't dare to take a closer look. He only checked that she wasn't injured and then carried her away. But on the way here, even though there was a layer of blankets between them, he could still feel the heat of her body. She reached out two orchid-like arms from the blankets and tightly wrapped them around his neck. He originally thought she was afraid, but now he found that her body temperature was shockingly hot. Moreover, her fiery cheeks were stuck to his face, making him want to hide, but he couldn't bear to hide, but he had no choice. Ning, what's wrong? Are you very hot? Don't be like this. Chapter 7:19. Mo Chuan, hug me. Forcefully hug me. Kiss me, I want you to kiss me. Her arms wrapped around him again and her voice was like water, filled with an indescribable allure. Chu Xiaobai's face turned red. He had never heard her use this kind of charming voice before, it was simply too sweet. His hand trembled and he almost fell off. He quickly recovered his mind and forcefully hugged her. In a low voice, he said, Ning, wake up. I am Xiaobai, not the emperor. The faint starlight shined on her face and he saw her red cheeks. She was panting and her watery eyes were half closed, looking at him with a loving smile that was very charming. Chu Xiaobai's heart was filled with confusion. He looked at her in a daze, unable to move his eyes away. Chen Ning's eyes were blurred and she couldn't tell who the person in front of her was. Chu Xiaobai's dark eyes were the same as Mo Chuan's when he looked at her. Mo Chuan, why aren't you kissing me? Didn't you say that as long as I want it, you'll give it to me? I want you to kiss me. She pouted in dissatisfaction. That bright red lips made his heart beat faster. Ning, what happened to you? How did you become like this? Were you drugged by third brother? Chu Xiaobai looked at her and muttered in a low voice. His impression of her was that she had a clear and intelligent appearance that made his heart beat faster. He never thought that when she seduced someone, it would be like this. Although his heart was beating like it was going to jump out of his chest, he did not take this chance to take advantage of her. Even if he knew that if he kissed her now, she would not know and there would not be a third person who would notice, but he still controlled his heart and did not kiss her lips. Mo Chuan, I'm uncomfortable, I'm very uncomfortable. If you kiss me, I won't feel this uncomfortable anymore. She began to painfully tear at the blanket covering her body as she gasped for breath. Ning, don't move. I'll immediately send you to see a doctor. The doctor will definitely be able to cure you, definitely. Chu Xiaobai thought of how his third brother had drugged her and he couldn't help being angry. However, when he looked down at her current appearance, he couldn't help feeling pity and pain. He couldn't help lowering his head and placing a light kiss on her forehead. Then he stroked her soft hair and said in a soft voice. Ning, you won't feel this uncomfortable very soon, believe me. As soon as he finished speaking, his finger had already pressed on her sleeping acupuncture point, and then he wiped the beads of sweat from her forehead. So close. If he didn't seal her acupuncture point and let her continue like this, he wouldn't be able to control. She slowly closed her eyes and fell into a deep sleep. However, even though her acupuncture points were sealed and she was unable to move, her eyebrows were still tightly knitted together. She bit her lip so hard that it almost drew blood. He placed his finger on her lips and had her forcefully bite it. The pain was far away, but it was very painful, but it. Ning, Chong. After determining the direction, he decided on a path and used his qin gong to quickly leave. Dr. Zhang, quickly wake up, wake up. Dr. Zhang was in a daze from his sleep when he suddenly felt someone forcefully shaking his shoulder and a familiar voice loudly saying this. Chapter 7:20. Good man, spare me. Spare me. As long as you spare this old man's life, you can take whatever you want. The money is in the drawer of the third cabinet and the key is under this old man's pillow. Dr. Zhang closed his eyes and trembled as he muttered. Who wants your money? Who wants your life? Dr. Zhang, I'm Chu Xiaobai, quickly help this king cure her. Chu Xiaobai was angry and anxious. He grabbed Dr. Zhang's shoulder and shook him again, making Dr. Zhang feel even more dizzy. Stop shaking, stop shaking. You're making this old man dizzy. How can this old man treat a patient? Dr. Zhang rubbed his blurred eyes and finally saw the person in front of him. So it's your Highness King Jing'an. You've come to this old man's bed in the middle of the night. Are you trying to scare this old man to death? He got up and put on his clothes while calmly asking, who is sick? It's the princess. Chu Xiaobai gritted his teeth and stared at him. Dr. Zhang, can you hurry up? This is a matter of life. He saw that her face was becoming redder and redder, like it was about to drip blood. His heart was filled with worry. Princess consort. Dr. Zhang was shocked. He quickly pointed at the room outside and said, Your Highness, don't panic. Place her in the quiet room outside and this old man will immediately come. Chu Xiaobai carried Qin Ning into the quiet room and placed her on the bed, looking at her with a face of worry. Dr. Zhang quickly came over. When he saw her red face in pain, he was shocked and quickly took her pulse. Chu Xiaobai's eyes tightly stared at Dr. Zhang, looking at his expression. His heart was filled with anxiety. Dr. Zhang was the doctor with the best skills in the hospital. If he couldn't cure Ning's illness, he really didn't know who else could. Unless it was the #1 divine doctor in the world. But distant water couldn't cure a present thirst. That divine doctor was thousands of miles away and he was afraid that Ning wouldn't be able to last until then. This was because he had sealed her acupuncture point. Perhaps it would cause the effects of the medicine to increase, but he had no other choice. If he didn't seal her acupuncture point and let her hug and kiss him, he was a man who deeply loved her. If she wanted him to sit still, he couldn't do it. Dr. Zhang, how is she? Can she be cured? Say something. Chu Xiaobai waited for a while and Dr. Zhang didn't say anything. Finally he couldn't help urging him. He was about to die from anxiety, but this old imperial physician still had a lukewarm appearance and did not even let out a fart. This old doctor still had a calm expression and did not say anything, not saying a word. He looked up at Chu Xiaobai with a strange expression. With a cough, he slowly said, Your Highness King Jing'an, don't worry. Actually the princess consort is not sick. Not sick. Would she feel this bad if she's not sick? Look, she has bitten her lips. Dr. Zhang, this king knows that your medical skills are the best, you have to save her. Cool. Dr. Zhang gave a few more coughs. The princess consort became like this because she took a strong medicine. For this medicine, there is only one antidote. What antidote? Quickly take it out and save her. Chu Xiaobai's heart filled with joy as he immediately grabbed the old doctor's wrist. Chapter 721. Speak clearly. What do you mean by that? What do you mean that I'm young and strong, so I'm the best antidote for her? I don't understand. Chu Xiaobai became more confused the more he heard and he couldn't help knitting his brows. Although he was smart, his thoughts were simple and he had never experienced the matters between a man and a woman. He loved a girl and simply wanted to be with her. Being able to kiss and hug her was the greatest happiness in his young heart, so when he heard Dr. Zhang's words, he was completely confused. Although he knew that he was a girl, he didn't know what to say. His straightforward words made Dr. Zhang's old face turn red. The old doctor was so embarrassed that he did not know where to put his eyes. He said in his heart, I've already said this much, why does this King Jing'an still not understand? Dr. Zhang, why can I cure her poison and you can't? Tell me, what's going on? Chu Xiaobai kept asking. Dr. Zhang couldn't help rolling his eyes and saying, the princess consort has been drugged with a strong drug. As long as she performs the ceremony of husband and wife with a man, the drug will naturally disappear, but this drug is very strong. If it can't be cured in 3 days, the drug will act up and her body will explode. Whether or not you want to cure the princess consort, Your Highness, you can decide for yourself. After he said this, he prepared to leave with his medical box. He thought that with a young man and young woman doing this kind of thing, although he was old, it wasn't good for him to eavesdrop on them, so it was best to stay far away. Chu Xiaobai grabbed his medical box and his brows knit even tighter. Perform the ceremony of husband and wife. You want me to marry her? Then her poison will be cured. The old doctor almost spat out a mouthful of blood. He stared at Chu Xiaobai, and seeing Chu Xiaobai's innocent eyes, he instantly understood. He thought that this young man was not enlightened yet, but how could he teach him this kind of thing? He thought about it and then went back into the room. He took out a wrinkled yellow booklet and placed it in Chu Xiaobai's hands, looking at him with a meaningful gaze. There is no need to bow to the heaven and earth, as long as you and her go to the nuptial chambers. As for what to do in the nuptial chambers, you just need to look at this booklet. After saying this, he immediately picked up his medical box and quickly left, afraid that Chu Xiaobai would keep asking him. Nuptial chambers. But I haven't bowed to the heaven and earth with her yet, so how can I go to the nuptial chambers? Chu Xiaobai muttered while flipping through the booklet in his hand. He thought that since he only needed to follow the booklet, he would give it a try himself. Chu Xiaobai muttered as he opened the booklet in his hand. He thought that since he only needed to follow the instructions in the booklet, he might as well try it himself. He casually flipped to a page and lowered his head to take a look. Suddenly, his hands trembled violently and his eyes widened in an instant. His handsome face flushed red. What is this? The drawing on it is actually, his face was flushed, and his breathing was rapid. His heart was beating so fast that it was about to jump out of his chest. He wanted to put it aside, but the pictures on the booklet seemed to have a huge magical power that firmly attracted his gaze, making him unable to move. It turned out that when a man and a woman became husband and wife, it wasn't just hugging and kissing. It turned out that there was more to it. Chapter 722. In 19 years, this was the first time Chu Xiaobai had experienced the meaning of lust and lust. He finally understood why his heart melted when she looked at him with such a seductive gaze. A fire ignited in his body. At that time, he was muddle-headed and only wanted to hug and kiss her to ease the desire in his heart. However, that was far from enough. Could it be? Dr. Zhang's meaning was that in order to cure her of the drug, he had to do it with her in this little booklet. Chu Xiaobai's hand holding the booklet couldn't stop trembling. The waves in his heart came again and again, wildly surging at him, shouting at him. He slowly knelt down by the bed and stared at her. Her eyes were closed and her body was wrapped in the blanket, only revealing a pink peach blossom-like face. Her breathing was short, like she was enduring a large amount of pain. Now he finally understood what she was suffering from, and what he could do to relieve her of her pain. His trembling hand slowly reached out and grabbed the edge of the blanket. His lips were dry and his heart was about to burst. There were two voices fighting in his heart. One voice said, "You are saving her, helping her relieve her pain." The other voice said, "The person she likes isn't you, you are taking advantage of her." The first voice said, "Do it. After doing it, she will be yours and will never leave you." The other voice said, "When she wakes up, she will hate you, forever hate you." However, the second voice gradually weakened, and the first voice gained the upper hand. He began to lean over to her and his trembling lips slowly approached her. His mind was in chaos and he didn't want to think, he was not willing to think. He just wanted to do it instinctively. His lips landed on her burning hot face, moving along her smooth and delicate cheeks towards her lips. He was so nervous that his entire body was sweating and his heartbeat had stopped. His dark eyes were slightly opened as he stared at the beautiful face that was right in front of him. Although it was just kissing her face, he felt like his body was floating, like he was flying into the clouds. It was like what was flowing through his body was not blood, but rather an intoxicating sweetness. Mo Chuan. Before his lips could touch her lips, she suddenly let out an indistinct murmur. Chu Xiaobai's body trembled like a bucket of cold water had been poured over him. He was instantly awakened from his intoxicated state. He suddenly jumped up from the ground and gave himself a hard slap. This slap made his face burn with pain, but it made him more clear-headed. Damn, Chu Xiaobai, what are you doing? Are you taking advantage of her being unconscious to bully her? If this isn't taking advantage of someone, then what is it? What is the difference between you and third brother doing this? You. His face was completely red, and he was so ashamed that he didn't even dare to look at her on the bed. He pushed open the door and left. Your Highness, you. Why did you come out? Dr. Zhang said that the princess consort has been poisoned and you are currently curing the princess consort, so this subordinate shouldn't disturb you. In the courtyard, he met Zhui Feng who had just rushed over. Zhui Feng looked at him with a pair of confused eyes and his mind was also very confused. Shouldn't Dr. Zhang be the one who knew how to cure the poison? When did King Jing know how to cure poisons? How come he didn't know about it at all? Chapter 723. Zhui Feng was confused hearing this. He wanted to ask more, but Chu Xiaobai had already urged him. He said in a cold voice, Zhui Feng, stop asking so many questions. Don't ask things you shouldn't know. This sentence blocked the question Zhui Feng wanted to ask. After Zhui Feng left, Chu Xiaobai stood alone in the courtyard with his hands behind his back. He looked up at the eastern night sky that was gradually being dyed by the light of dawn. The light became brighter and brighter as the clouds in the sky changed. Then a red sun appeared from the clouds. His heart also brightened. That brilliant and warm sunlight seemed to shine into the bottom of his heart. His eyes were clear and transparent, and there was no longer the confusion from before. Chu Xiaobai's lips slowly curled into a faint smile. He was very glad that he had protected the shackles in his heart and did not do anything that he would regret for the rest of his life. He knew that he had made the right decision. The sound of clothes fluttering in the wind came from the air. It was very light and his ears slightly moved. He knew that Mo Chuan had come. Greetings to the Emperor. He turned around and saw Mo Chuan's figure appear in front of him. He bowed down. Xiaobai, she's poisoned. Who poisoned her? What poison was it? Why did Zhui Feng say that only this one can cure this poison? Could Dr. Zhang not cure this poison? Mo Chuan grabbed his wrist and his pair of red eyes stared at Chu Xiaobai without blinking. His fingers were slightly trembling. Dr. Zhang said that third brother gave her a strong medicine and there is only one antidote for this medicine. As for why only the Emperor can cure this poison, the Emperor will know once he goes in. Chu Xiaobai replied with a bowed head. Mo Chuan's chin tightened and his lips curled into a line. It was like he had guessed something. He didn't say a single word as he walked into the room and slammed the door shut. Chu Xiaobai slowly turned his head and looked at the closed door. His eyes flashed with a look of relief. Turning around, he leaped over the courtyard wall, and like a wisp of lonely white cloud, he quietly flew into the distance. Your Highness. When Zhui Feng arrived, he saw Chu Xiaobai's figure disappear. He couldn't help muttering, why did he leave like this? Wasn't the princess poisoned? She didn't even say how to cure it. Zhui Feng, you came right on time. Come with this old man. Dr. Zhang came in from outside and grabbed Zhui Feng's wrist, pulling him away. Dr. Zhang, why are you pulling me away? I need to stay here to protect the Emperor. This doesn't have anything to do with you, you will only make the Emperor unhappy if you stay here. Come with this old man has something he needs your help with. Dr. Zhang brought Zhui Feng out of the back courtyard without saying anything. In the room, Mo Chuan released Chen Ning's sleeping acupuncture point. She raised her long eyelashes and looked at the man in front of her with misty eyes. His eyes were cold and handsome, but his body was warm like the sun. Mo Chuan, hug me. Mo Chuan, I want you to hug me. She reached out her white camellia-like arms from the blanket and hugged Mo Chuan's neck. Her voice was sweet and soft. Mo Chuan's heart violently trembled and he immediately hugged her without any hesitation, tightly holding her in his embrace. His hand touched her soft and tender skin and he was instantly confused. She didn't seem to be wearing any clothes. What was going on? Ning, Xiao Bai said you were poisoned. You. He put his hand on her shoulder, wanting to check her complexion. Chapter 724. Before he could finish, her soft and fiery lips blocked the words he was about to say. Mo Chuan's mind instantly went blank and he was at a loss. This was the first time she had taken the initiative to kiss him. He was stunned for a moment before wrapping his arms around her slender waist. He closed his eyes and immersed himself in the sweetness she was giving him. But very quickly, he found that something was wrong. She was just too passionate and her entire body was like a burning flame, igniting flames on his body. He was almost melted by her. Ning, first. Don't be like this first, woo. He had just taken a breath when his lips were blocked by her again. He felt uncomfortable, but he also enjoyed it. This was truly a kind of sweet torture. His consciousness gradually slipped away, and his entire body was already on the bed, pressing her under his body. He went from passive to active, kissing her hungrily. He forcefully pulled open the quilt that separated the two of them, and pressed his lips tightly against her burning hot skin. She was kissed until she couldn't breathe. She tilted her head to avoid him, but he chased after her like a shadow. She raised her hand to cover his lips and said while gasping for breath, Let me catch my breath. Mo Chuan's confused mind became clear because of these words. He opened his eyes and looked at her burning face, her hot and trembling body, as well as her passionate kiss. He instantly understood. She wasn't poisoned at all, rather she was poisoned by a very strong drug, so she couldn't do it herself. He instantly understood Chu Xiaobai's strange words and why he was the only one who could cure this poison. As for the method to cure it, Mo Chuan's heart was already very fast and it was beating even faster at this time. His mouth was dry and his palms were sweaty. This seemed to be the only method. He didn't have time to find out who gave her the drug. He only knew that if he couldn't obtain the antidote, she would die. He wouldn't let her die no matter what. Ning, I want you. Are you willing? Are you willing to give yourself to me? Although he knew that her mind wasn't clear, he still asked this question in a low voice. He didn't want her to feel regret when she woke up. Even if it was for her, he still wanted to respect her wishes. I want you, Mo Chuan. Hug me, hug me. She was about to die of discomfort as the fire in her body burned even stronger. Only Mo Chuan's tight hug could make her feel a bit more comfortable, but she still felt that it wasn't enough. Her words were enough. But his next step suddenly stopped as his heart was filled with conflict. He really didn't want their first time to happen when she was in a daze. He wanted their first time to be the best and most beautiful memory. If he took her in such an ambiguous way, what would he do to make it up to her if she didn't want to? He didn't want it. Apart from this method, was there no other way to remove the drug from her body? He had already thought about it for a bit and thought about it. Although this medicinal effect was extremely tyrannical, he could use his internal energy to force the medicinal effect out of her body, but this method would consume a large amount of internal energy. Mo Chuan gritted his teeth and used a great amount of willpower to move away from her body. He pulled down the arm around his neck and lowered his head to gently kiss her lips. Chapter 725. Compared to her, what did a trivial amount of internal energy count for? He could cultivate his internal energy back if he lost it, but if he lost her, where would he find a second girl that he could remember? Mo Chuan did not hesitate at all. Afraid that she would struggle, he sealed her acupuncture point again and helped her slowly lie down on the bed. His right hand was placed on her chest acupuncture point and his left hand was placed on her dantian. Two streams of internal energy slowly entered her body from his palms. Her body was already burning hot as if it was on fire, and with the addition of his vigorous and fiery internal energy, it was like adding oil to the fire. She felt as if her entire body was being roasted on a stove, roasted on a volcano, or fried in a pan of oil. It was so uncomfortable that she almost cried out. Although her acupuncture points were sealed, she still couldn't help but let out waves of painful moans. Dr. Zhang, is the princess consort's poison very strong? You said that the emperor is helping her detoxify it, but why is she making such strange cries? Shui Feng heard this from afar and couldn't help stopping what he was doing. He looked at Dr. Zhang with a puzzled expression. Dr. Zhang's old face froze, but he calmly said, continue doing your work. Don't ask what you shouldn't ask and don't listen to what you shouldn't listen to. Shui Feng gave an "oh" sound and continued to add firewood to the stove. Looking at the raging flames, he asked, Dr. Zhang, are you making medicine for the princess consort? Dr. Zhang opened the lid of the medicine pot and looked inside. He didn't even look up as he said, add 2 more firewood, it's not hot enough. This is not for the princess consort, it's for the emperor. For the emperor. Shui Feng was even more puzzled. The emperor's body is very good and his internal energy is very deep. I've followed the emperor for many years and I've never seen the emperor fall sick before. The emperor didn't need it before, but after he detoxifies the princess consort, he will need it. Dr. Zhang's ears perked up. Although he was old and hard of hearing, he could still hear some sounds that he shouldn't have heard. Hot. So hot. No, I don't want it. Endure a bit more. It'll be fine in a bit. Shui Feng's hand that was adding firewood couldn't help trembling and his face instantly turned red. He seemed like he understood something, but also like he didn't understand. Dr. Zhang muttered to himself, the medicine is very strong and it still hasn't ended. This won't do, I have to add a few more things to help the emperor recover. After saying this, he opened the jar and added a few more herbs inside. In the room, Chen Ning's body was covered in sweat like rain. Her clothes were completely soaked, but the sweat kept pouring out, layer after layer. She kept letting out painful cries. If it wasn't for Mo Chuan poking her acupuncture point, she wouldn't have been able to endure it. Every time she called out, Mo Chuan's heart would hurt a bit more, but he still focused and used all his strength. The medicine slowly flowed out of her body along with her sweat. After a while, her breathing began to calm down, and the fire in her body gradually extinguished. There was a trickle of water flowing through her body, flowing through her limbs and bones, giving her an indescribable sense of comfort. Her eyebrows relaxed, her face was calm, and the corners of her mouth slowly curled up as she sank into a sweet dream. Naturally, there was no Chu Xiaoyang in the dream. The person she saw was Mo Chuan. Chapter 726. Mo Chuan was afraid that she would catch a cold, so he covered her with a blanket. Thinking of how her body was soaked in sweat, it would be very uncomfortable to sleep like this. He wanted to find a towel and hot water to help her wash herself. But when he looked around, he found that the environment was unfamiliar. He realized that this was not his palace, but rather Dr. Zhang's quiet room. He walked over to open the door. When he stepped over the threshold, his feet felt weak and he actually stumbled, almost falling over. A gray figure suddenly appeared and supported him, calling out in a worried voice, Emperor. That person was Shui Feng. Behind him was Dr. Zhang. Dr. Zhang was holding a steaming hot bowl of soup in his hand. The smell of medicine filled his nose as he carefully placed it in front of Mo Chuan. Emperor, this minister has finished brewing the medicine. You should take it while it's hot. Mo Chuan closed his eyes and his face was as white as paper. He wanted to take the bowl of medicine, but his fingers moved and his arm powerlessly fell down. He had consumed a lot of internal energy and felt like his legs had no strength at all. It was hard for him to even stand. If it wasn't for Zhui Feng supporting him, he would have already fallen to the ground. When Dr. Zhang saw this, he felt that this bowl of medicine had been brewed at the right time. It was just what the emperor needed. Dr. Zhang, you. Go feed her. This one wants to have a good rest. Mo Chuan's voice was also very weak, making Zhui Feng even more worried. Zhui Feng had never seen the emperor this weak before. His eyes that were as clear as stars had lost their light. His impression of the emperor had always been full of energy, but now he had a dejected expression, like he was suffering from a serious illness. He couldn't help admiring Dr. Zhang's ability to predict the future, while also looking at Dr. Zhang with a grateful gaze. Dr. Zhang was stunned. He looked into the room and saw Chen Ning sleeping on the bed. Her face was no longer as red as blood, rather it was like the petals of a peach blossom in March. There was a faint smile on her lips and her sleeping face was very calm, so he knew that she was fine. He then said, Emperor, the princess consort does not need to take medicine, her poison has already been cured. This bowl was specially brewed for the emperor. The emperor has used a lot of energy to cure the princess consort's poison, so this medicine will be very beneficial to the emperor's body. Mo Chuan's eyes were slightly closed. He indeed felt that his internal energy was exhausted and his dantian was empty. He just wanted to sit down and fall asleep. So he raised his arm and took the bowl of medicine from Dr. Zhang's hands. He drank it in a few gulps before saying to Dr. Zhang, find a quiet room, this one wants to rest for a bit. Yes, yes. Emperor, please go to the room on the side. This one is very quiet and no one will disturb the emperor's rest. Dr. Zhang gestured to Zhui Feng and Zhui Feng slowly supported Mo Chuan to the quiet room on the side. Zhui Feng. Mo Zhui of Feng of he. Zhui Feng, you guard here. If anything goes wrong, don't come to see me again. His tone was extremely strict. Zhui Feng's heart turned cold as he replied, this subordinate will obey. He knew that when the princess was kidnapped by King Ding Yuan, the emperor did not hold him accountable for his negligence. If he lost her again this time, even without the emperor's words, he would not have the face to be the emperor's secret guard. He would have to find a tree to hang himself from. Chapter 727. In the yard, Zhui Feng secretly gave Dr. Zhang a thumbs up and praised him. Dr. Zhang, you really can predict things like a god. The emperor has taken your medicine, will there be any problems, right? Stinky brat, you're speaking nonsense. Are you looking down on this old man's medical skills? Dr. Zhang stroked his beard and revealed a proud look in his eyes. This old man's medicine has a total of 24 herbs. I believe that after the emperor drinks this medicine, he will be as lively as a dragon or tiger. As soon as his voice fell, he suddenly heard a dong sound coming from Mo Chuan's room. It was like the sound of something heavy falling to the ground. Zhui Feng immediately charged over. He first looked through the crack in the door and then his face filled with shock. He forcefully kicked open the door and charged in, helping up Mo Chuan who had fallen to the ground. Emperor! Emperor! He loudly shouted. Mo Chuan was already unconscious and his face was even more ashen than before. His eyes, ears, mouth, and nose were all bleeding. That thick blood and the smell of blood filled his nose, scaring Zhui Feng out of his wits. He raised his voice and shouted, Dr. Zhang. Dr. Zhang. When Dr. Zhang saw this, his legs instantly turned soft and he fell to the ground on his butt. He couldn't get up for a while as his body trembled. He stammered, this. Why is it like this? Shui Feng placed the unconscious Mo Chuan on the bed and charged over to Dr. Zhang's side. He picked him up like a little chick and angrily said, this. Why is it like this? Quickly treat the Emperor. Didn't you say that after the Emperor takes your medicine, he will be as lively as a dragon or tiger? Look at the Emperor, he's already fainted from spitting out blood. Shui Feng's voice was choked. Dr. Zhang's heart was about to explode. He quickly took a deep breath and placed his trembling finger on Mo Chuan's pulse. He closed his eyes to take a look and his face turned from confusion to understanding. Damn. Stupid. Admirable. He said these 3 words in a row and Shui Feng was confused. Dr. Zhang, what are you saying? Why aren't you treating the Emperor? Good. This old man is really confused. I never thought that the Emperor. He would actually think of this method. AI, it really is admirable. Dr. Zhang had a look of admiration on his face as he shook his head and walked out. After a while, he came back with a satin box. When he opened the box, there was a row of shining silver needles inside. Shui Feng, keep watch. This old man is going to help the Emperor with acupuncture, so I can't be disturbed. Shui Feng nodded. He knew that Dr. Zhang was most famous for his acupuncture and there was no one in the doctor yard that could compare to his acupuncture skills. Although Dr. Zhang was old, his acupuncture speed was not inferior to a young man's. In just half an incense stick of time, he had already placed needles in all 108 acupuncture points on Mo Chuan's body. In just a short while, Mo Chuan's up. Mo's up, Mo Zhang Mo, chup, Feng up. Shui Feng couldn't take his eyes off it. He was filled with admiration towards Dr. Zhang's medical skills. Dr. Zhang, your medical skills are truly divine. Chapter 728. Shui Feng was suddenly enlightened when he heard this. He couldn't help asking, Dr. Zhang, what kind of tonic did you give the Emperor? How did it make the Emperor bleed from his orifices? Dr. Zhang's old face turned red and he stared at Shui Feng. Stinky brat, if you dare mention this again, don't come to this old man to see you in the future. Shui Feng secretly found it funny, so he didn't ask anymore. After a while, Dr. Zhang pulled out the silver needles and pulled Shui Feng out of the door. Let the Emperor have a good rest. He has consumed too much internal energy and it can't be recovered in a short amount of time. We shouldn't disturb the Emperor. Shui Feng nodded. He was a martial artist, so of course he knew how important internal energy was to a martial arts expert. It was something that had been cultivated over countless days and nights, bit by bit. But in order to save the princess, the Emperor had consumed this much without any hesitation. Even if the Emperor didn't feel heartache, he felt heartache for the Emperor. Dr. Zhang, your medical skills are this high. Do you know of any medicine that can replenish internal energy? Dr. Zhang shook his hand. Although this old man doesn't know martial arts, I know that internal energy can't be obtained just by taking medicine. If there was this kind of miraculous medicine, wouldn't all the internal energy experts in the world fight over it? Unless it's 1,000-year-old Lingji or something like that. That's right, didn't the East Qin Crown Prince give King Ding Yuan 1,000-year-old snow ginseng? If he takes the snow ginseng, it will be of great help to the Emperor. 1,000-year-old snow ginseng. Shui Feng's eyes lit up, but they immediately dimmed. He said with a sigh, that 1,000-year-old snow ginseng is in King Ding Yuan's hands, perhaps he has already made it into soup for the princess to eat. Even if he hasn't, I don't have the ability to steal it. Other than this, is there no other way? Dr. Zhang shook his head and said, "This old man is incompetent, there really is no other way." Zhui Feng couldn't help feeling dejected. He suddenly heard a soft and slightly hoarse voice behind him. "Zhui Feng." Zhui Feng's body trembled and he turned around. He saw a beautiful figure wrapped in a blanket, only revealing her head. Her face was as white as a night flower and her long black hair was draped over her shoulders. She was leaning against the door, looking at him without blinking. "Wang. Princess consort." He stuttered as he looked at the other side. After the medicine in Qin Ning's body was gone, she fell into a deep sleep. She could vaguely hear people mentioning the word emperor from time to time. She thought, is this Emperor Mo Chuan? Could it be that Mo Chuan had come to save her? She was so excited that she woke up from her sleep. When she opened her eyes, she found herself in an unfamiliar place. She turned her eyes, only to hear voices coming from outside the room. One was old, the other young. Both voices sounded very familiar. She calmed herself down and could tell that these two people were Dr. Zhang and Zhui Feng. Ling 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 Feng Chen Ming Feng, Chen Ling Chen. Chen Ning thought that the person she saw when she opened her eyes would be Mo Chuan, but he wasn't. She knit her brows and thought back to the scene before she lost consciousness. "You," he said, Mo Feng, you, he, Chen, he, T, he, comma, T, Ming, to say, Chen of Ling, Chen Zi T, he, to say, Chen, T of Chen, beg me. As long as you beg me, I will give you the greatest happiness in this world. Chapter 729. After that, she seemed to see Mo Chuan. Mo Chuan used his strong arms to tightly hug her, bringing her over the walls and bringing her to a place where she could see the stars. When she opened her eyes, she saw the stars in the sky and saw the light in his eyes that was even brighter than the stars. Chen Ning blinked and she couldn't remember anything after that. She didn't know where she was and she didn't know where Mo Chuan had gone. She sat up on the bed and the blanket fell off her body. She felt a chill on her body and when she looked down, she couldn't help taking in a cold breath. She only had her clothes on, revealing her snow-white arms and legs. She immediately understood and cursed through gritted teeth, Chu Xiao Yang. But when she moved, she didn't feel anything strange. Could it be that Chu Xiao Yang did not succeed? Or was he saved by someone at the most crucial moment? At this time, she heard a voice coming from outside the door. It was Dr. Zhang's old voice. "Let the Emperor rest, he has used too much internal energy." "Emperor?" Chen Ning was pleasantly surprised. Mo Chuan was really here. Did Mo Chuan save her? She didn't care about her clothes as she quickly got off the bed. She wrapped the blanket around her and walked out of the room. Leaning against the door, she called out to Zhui Feng outside. "Where is this place? How did I come here? Did Mo Chuan save me? What about him? Where is he?" She asked over and over again. Zhui Feng's mind was numb and he couldn't remember these questions at all. He blurted out, "Princess consort, it's good that you're awake. You were drugged and it was the Emperor who saved you. He used up a lot of energy to save you, so Dr. Zhang gave the Emperor a bowl of medicine. In the end, the Emperor bled from all 7 orifices and fell unconscious, but luckily Dr. Zhang saved him. Dr. Zhang said that the Emperor is truly devoted to you, he would rather use up his internal energy to cure you than take advantage of you." His thoughts were very simple and he said whatever he thought. He didn't even look at Dr. Zhang's eyes and fake coughing. Instead he waved his sleeve and impatiently said, "Dr. Zhang, why are you pulling my sleeve? Did I say something wrong?" Dr. Zhang's expression was very awkward. He used his eyes to stare at Zhui Feng, wishing that he could make him mute. His old face had been completely lost by him. Although Zhui Feng's words were all over the place, Chen Ning was very smart. She connected the dots and quickly understood what was going on. She was extremely moved in her heart, but her face was still calm. She just bit her lower lip lightly with her teeth, and her eyes were dark and deep, flashing with a brilliance that neither of them could understand. Dr. Zhang, is this your palace? I want to borrow Dr. Zhang's clothes. I wonder if Dr. Zhang is willing. She looked at Dr. Zhang. Shui phone. Dr. Zhang shook his ear and said in an awkward voice, but this old man's palace doesn't have clothes for young girls. Anything is fine. Even Dr. Zhang's old clothes are fine. She said in an uncaring voice. Dr. Zhang scratched his head. He could only go back to his room to get a dress and give it to Chen Ning. These are the old clothes of this old man's late wife. I hope the princess consort doesn't dislike them. Many thanks, Dr. Zhang. Chen Ning took the dress and returned to her room, closing the door. Chapter 730. The dress was wide and it didn't fit her at all. The color was dark and heavy, but it made her jade-like face look even more exquisite, like it was made of crystal. Her waist was slender and graceful, like a willow in the wind, blooming lotuses with every step she took. Dr. Zhang couldn't help rubbing his old eyes, feeling like he was hallucinating. It was like he was seeing his dead wife come back to life and become young again. No, 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 even his wife when she was young was not this beautiful. He had recognized the wrong person. Where is the emperor? Chen Ning asked Shui Feng. Shui Feng came back to his senses and pointed at the quiet room on the side. He couldn't help reminding her, Princess Consort, the emperor has used up a lot of qi and can't be disturbed right now. You should. I know. Chen Ning tilted her head and thought about it. Dr. Zhang, I've read a few medical books before and remember that there is a prescription in the books that can replenish internal energy. Can you think about it and see if it can be used? Dr. Zhang was stunned and said, a prescription to replenish internal energy. Please speak, princess. He was thinking in his heart, I've lived for most of my life and I've read at least 7,000-8,000 medical books, but I've never heard of a prescription to replenish internal energy. This princess consort is only 17, so even if she's read a few medical books, how could there be a prescription like this? It's most likely just nonsense, it doesn't count at all. So he couldn't help revealing a look of contempt on his face. Chen Ning saw the doubt on his face, but she didn't care. She slowly read out a prescription. She had seen this prescription in an ancient book before and found it interesting, so she remembered it in her mind. As for how effective it was, she had never cultivated internal energy, so she didn't know. Dr. Zhang was very familiar with medicinal properties, so he could guess what kind of illness this medicine was used to cure after hearing the name of the herbs. He had a look of disapproval on his face at first because the herbs Chen Ning read out were all very ordinary and were common herbs. If eating these herbs could replenish internal energy, that would simply be the biggest joke in the world. Astragalus. Wild chrysanthemum. Plantain seed. But the more he thought about it, the more he felt that this prescription was not as simple as he thought it was. Although these herbs were very ordinary, no one had ever used these herbs together before. Could it be that this prescription really had a large effect? Princess Consort, this. Where did you get this recipe from? The more he thought about it, the more likely it was. He couldn't help feeling excited and his voice began to tremble. I only read it from a book. Dr. Zhang, do you think this prescription can be used? I only read it from a book. Dr. Zhang, do you think this prescription can be used? Dr. Zhang could not hide the excitement in his eyes as he quickly went to the medicine room. Please wait a moment, Princess Consort. This old man will go brew the medicine according to the prescription. Perhaps this prescription really will have a large effect. Chen Ning didn't stand there and wait. She looked at Chen Ning's eyes. She could see a look on. Chen was look on see. Chen si, ti chin, chint s, ti, chens, tease heart, tease. Her heart suddenly trembled, and a sour and painful feeling assaulted her heart. It made her eyes slightly warm, her nose sour, and she almost shed tears. She gently moved, not making a single sound. She walked in front of the bed and leaned down beside him, looking at him without blinking. Chapter 731. Mo Chuan, why bother? Mo Chuan, why bother? She slowly reached out a finger and smoothed the wrinkles on his forehead. She muttered in her heart and slowly lowered her head. Her forehead touched his and she closed her eyes as tears couldn't help falling down. Mo Chuan, you're very stupid, don't you know that? Why are you so stupid? She slowly opened her mouth, her voice soft and gentle. Lifting her head, she stared at his pale and haggard face. Mo Chuan naturally did not reply. He was still unconscious and did not know that she was by his side at all. My heart has already been given to you, so my body is naturally yours. You can have it whenever you want, you know that I'm willing, but why are you so stupid? Why did you consume your own internal energy to save me? You clearly could have. Her throat choked up as tears filled her eyes. Tears fell down her face and fell onto his face. They flowed down his face and into his pale white lips. I know that you did it for me. You're not willing to force me at all, you're always considerate and respectful towards me, but I still have to blame you because you're too stupid. Why can't you understand my heart? She held his face with both hands and deeply looked at him. What you're willing to do for me, I'm willing to do for you. Mo Chuan, I will remember everything you've done for me, I will never forget it. I've let you down, but not only do you not blame me, you even treat me like this. What do you want me to repay you with? Mo Chuan, at this moment, Chen Ning swear that no matter what happens, I will never leave you. I will be with you for the rest of my life. Even if a knife cuts me, don't think of leaving me by your side. I'll follow you. She spoke in a soft voice because she did not have much strength, but each word was filled with determination. From the moment she saw him lying on the bed with a pale face, she had already made this decision. He could do anything for her, so why couldn't she do it for him? This was why her heart was moved by Mo Chuan, but she could not fall in love with Chu Xiaoyang. Because no matter what happened, Mo Chuan would always treat her as his master, respecting everything. He truly placed her in the palm of his hand to protect and love her, not like Chu Xiaoyang who only wanted to imprison her, possess her, and imprison her. Zhui Feng stood behind the door. He did not dare peek at the two of them, but he could clearly hear every word she said. His eyes began to feel sore and dry. Raising his head to look at the red sun that pierced through the clouds, he couldn't help but think that the Emperor's efforts were not in vain. To be able to receive such a sincere confession from a girl, if he also had this kind of good fortune, to have a girl who could make a promise to him for a lifetime, how good would that be? His face, which had always been expressionless, suddenly felt a little hot, and his heart, which was as calm as an ancient well, began to stir. The spring wind blew, wrinkling the spring water. When Zhui Feng was lost in his thoughts, Dr. Zhang rushed over with a bowl of medicine. When he saw Zhui Feng, he immediately greeted him. Zhui Feng, quickly try this medicine. Zhui Feng's body trembled and he came back to his senses. Looking at the medicine in Dr. Zhang's bowl, his heart trembled. Chapter 732. Dr. Zhang rolled his eyes at him and scolded, "Stinky brat, don't not know how lucky you are. This old man is only letting you try this medicine because I think highly of you. If this medicine can really replenish internal energy, you brat will have a large advantage." What? Replenish internal energy? Shui Fang's eyes lit up with excitement and his hands trembled as he went to take the bowl of medicine. Dr. Zhang, many thanks for giving this subordinate this chance. Dr. Zhang gave a snort and gave the bowl back to him. He then added, if you have a headache, stomachache, diarrhea, or vomiting after drinking it, it has nothing to do with this old man. This sentence instantly poured cold water over the excited Shui Feng. He said with a crying face, Dr. Zhang, you. If you're not willing to try, this old man will find someone else to try. Dr. Zhang was not moved. All right, I'll try. Shui Feng gritted his teeth and steeled his heart. He drank the medicine in one gulp. He only felt a scorching liquid rush down his throat and into his body. Then, it quickly turned into a warm current that circulated through his limbs and bones. Ah! He was shocked and couldn't help letting out a surprised cry. Following this, he sat down on the ground and began to circulate his internal energy. He used his internal energy to guide the warm flow, letting the warm flow slowly gather into true qi. After a while, he jumped up from the ground with a wild look of joy on his face. He excitedly grabbed Dr. Zhang's hand. Dr. Zhang, this medicine is simply a miracle medicine. I actually broke through a checkpoint. I've been stuck at this checkpoint for an entire 3 months. He was so excited that he began to speak incoherently. Stinky brat, let go. Since this medicine is effective, this old man will bring another bowl for the emperor. Dr. Zhang broke away from Shui Feng and quickly left. Shui Feng was left in the yard, excitedly running around a large tree. He felt like his limbs were filled with energy that he needed to release. He couldn't help sending out a palm at the tree. In an instant, he sent out another palm. In just a short while, the tree was filled with leaves. Ah! My ginkgo tree! There was a pitiful cry that suddenly came from behind him. Shui Feng suddenly turned around and saw Dr. Zhang looking at the tree he had beaten until only the trunk was left with a face full of heartache. Shameless brat, compensate me for my ginkgo tree. This tree was personally planted by my wife the year we got married. You actually beat it to this state. Dr. Zhang's eyes turned red as he gritted his teeth and charged at Shui Feng. He was also holding a bowl of steaming hot medicine in his hand. Shui Feng quickly dodged in fright. He wanted to avoid Dr. Zhang, but he didn't want to touch the medicine. Dr. Zhang, old man, don't be angry. I'll compensate you, I'll compensate your tree. Calm down first and give the medicine to the emperor first. Shui Feng helplessly called out. That's right, emperor. Dr. Zhang was awakened by these words and stopped moving while panting. He glared at Shui Feng, brat, if you can't save this old man's ginkgo tree, this old man will bury you with it. After he finished speaking, he carried the bowl of medicine into the quiet room. Shui Feng could only give a bitter smile. He didn't dare offend this old doctor no matter what. Princess consort, this medicine is indeed effective. Before Dr. Zhang could finish, he was already cut off by Qin Ning. Chapter 733. Shui Feng, why aren't you coming in to support the emperor and letting the princess feed the emperor his medicine? Dr. Zhang stared at Shui Feng outside the door. No need. Chen Ning picked up the bowl of medicine and took a mouthful. Lowering her head, she placed her lips on Imo Chuan's lips and slowly fed the medicine in. This was a method she had learned from him and it was indeed very useful. Not a single drop of the medicine spilled out as he swallowed it all. She fed him a mouthful and then another. Dr. Zhang and Shui Feng's eyes almost popped out when they saw this. Dr. Zhang desperately rubbed his eyes and Shui Feng's face was as red as a piece of cloth. The two of them suddenly felt that this room was very crowded. It was so crowded that there was no space for the two of them. They moved out at almost the same time, moving out the door. Shui Feng's face was burning hot as he closed the door for the two of them. His heart was still beating fast. Shui Feng, there's nothing for us to do here. Go do what you need to do, this old man needs to go to the doctor yard. Dr. Zhang waved his sleeve and directly left. Shui Feng was stunned. As the Emperor's secret guard, he had a duty, but he could not leave the Emperor's side within 10 steps. Helpless, he leaped onto the bare ginkgo tree, sat cross-legged on the trunk, and began to circulate his qi to regulate his breathing. In the room, Chen Ning was still focused on feeding Imo Chuan medicine, but she did not notice that Imo Chuan's breathing was becoming lighter. His deep eyes slightly opened and he secretly looked at her through the gaps of his eyes. The sunlight shone through the thin window paper and the warm light fell onto her body. Her skin was translucent and exuded a jade-like luster. Her long eyelashes were slightly curled, and her dark and clear eyes revealed a gentle and focused expression. She did not notice that he had already woken up and was still feeding him the medicine mouthful by mouthful. His Adam's apple moved and his thin lips slightly opened. When she finished feeding him medicine and was about to leave, he followed her like a shadow, chasing after her lips. His right hand pressed against the back of her head, making it impossible for her to dodge. Her eyes widened in shock, and his figure was reflected in her watery pupils. She whimpered and wanted to say something, but her words were blocked by his fiery tongue. Imo Chuan's arms wrapped around her slender waist and he gently lifted her onto the bed. He let her lean against his warm chest and their lips never separated from each other. Her eyes were open and his eyes were also slightly open. The two of them kissed while looking at each other with deep feelings. There was no one else in their eyes other than each other. Her breathing quickened and she began to be out of breath. He sensed it and loosened his grip slightly, but he was still reluctant to let go of her. He turned her around and laid her on the soft bed. He propped up an arm to press her down and continued to kiss her even more deeply. His passionate kiss ignited a flame on her body. This kind of flame was not something the medicine Chu Xiaoyang gave her could compare to. It slowly burned in the bottom of her heart and it became stronger and stronger. It made her body feel warm and the garden in her heart bloomed. After an unknown amount of time, he finally raised his head. Their eyes met as they looked at each other. Because they had been kissing for a long time, their faces were both red, especially her lips. They were pink and tender from being sucked by him, as if they would break with a single bite. Chapter 734. Woo, don't. She hurriedly raised a hand to cover his lips. If he continued to kiss her like this, her thin lips would definitely break. She almost fainted because she couldn't breathe. I'll be gentle this time. He revealed a smile, but his breathing was still rapid. He pulled her hand away and touched her lips again. He kissed her in a gentle and lingering manner, giving her a completely different feeling from last time. Last time it was fire and this time it was water. Her entire body was immersed in his gentle water and her mind slowly drifted away. The two of them had cheeks touching cheeks and lips touching lips, with their hearts beating fast. This gentle kiss, compared to the fiery kiss earlier, allowed her to feel his heart even more. He loved her so much, and all of his affection was transmitted to her through this gentle kiss. She seemed to be able to see the sincere, burning heart that he had cupped in his hands, offering it to her. Imo Chuan. Imo Chuan. Her heart kept beating and every beat seemed to be calling his name. She thought that she would never forget this happy and sweet moment because from this moment on, his name had already been deeply imprinted in her heart. Shui Feng was sitting on the tree outside the door cultivating, but the ambiguous sounds coming from the room kept entering his ears, making it hard for him to not listen. He began to feel impatient and his blood began to boil. There were several times when his internal energy almost went astray. He couldn't help wondering what the two people in the room were doing and why they would hear this strange ambiguous sound. Thinking about it, his face turned red and his heart could no longer calm down. The Emperor and his beloved girl were whispering to each other inside, and he, as a secret guard, was bitterly sitting on the tree like a monkey in the sun. If there was a female monkey in the tree that could accompany him in the sun. Zhui Feng, go away. When Zhui Feng's thoughts were running wild and his breathing became heavy, Mo Chuan's voice came from the room and instantly woke Zhui Feng up. It was like he had been pardoned. He used his qigong and instantly disappeared. Chen Ning's face was as red as a blooming crabapple. Her lips were already numb from his kiss and they didn't feel anything. His handsome face was also as red as hers. The two of them looked at each other and revealed a smile at the same time. He pulled her up from the bed, tidied her appearance, tucked her hair behind her ear, and calmed his breathing. She quietly looked at him. Has your internal energy recovered a bit? She asked in a soft voice. He nodded and couldn't help poking the tip of her nose. What kind of miracle medicine did you give me? As soon as he tried to circulate his energy, he felt a warm current gushing out from his limbs and bones, converging into a warm current within his body. Although the internal energy that this bowl of medicine gave him was far from what he had consumed, it was equivalent to injecting a trickle of energy into his already dried-up dantian, allowing his dantian to regain its vitality. This is a method I found in an ancient book and I only told Dr. Zhang to give it a try. If it is beneficial to your body, then my guilt will lessen a bit. She gave a soft sigh. That's right. You can't do anything about it. She gave a soft sigh. Guilt? Why do you need to feel guilty? He immediately stared at her and his hands held her shoulders. She bit her lips and looked down, feeling a bit of pain in her heart. Chapter 735. She did not finish speaking because Mo Chuan had reached out to cover her mouth, preventing her from saying anything else. He looked at her with deep and intense eyes and said word for word, I want to give everything I have to you. As long as you want it, I'll give it all to you. So you don't have to feel guilty towards me, because everything I have is all yours. My internal energy, my heart, and my life, they are all yours. She stared at him in a daze. His pupils were so deep and dark, his eyes were focused and serious, as if each word he said came from the bottom of his heart. A wave of heat rushed into her eyes, and tears flowed down without warning. But her face bloomed with the most beautiful smile. Mo Chuan. She threw herself into his embrace with a smile and tightly hugged him. She placed her cheek against his chest and listened to his strong heartbeat. I'm also yours. My body, my heart, and my life, they are all yours. If you want them, you can take them at any time. In this world, there was nothing sweeter and more intoxicating than the words of lovers. The two of them tightly hugged each other, listening to each other's heartbeat. Their bodies and minds were immersed in a great happiness and happiness. At this moment, there was no person or power that could separate the two of them. After a while, Mo Chuan stroked the hair beside her ear and softly said, Ning, why did you personally burn the imperial edict? He knew that asking this kind of thing at this time would ruin the mood, but he couldn't not ask and couldn't not ask. This was because this was a large stone weighing down on his heart that he could not understand. Because with that imperial edict, she would be able to obtain the freedom that both of them had been longing for. Her body gently trembled and she said in a low voice, because he suddenly appeared in the eldest princess' palace and threatened me. He told me to leave with him, otherwise he wouldn't let me participate in the competition. She looked up at him, Mo Chuan, I had no other choice. I couldn't lose this competition. Between the people and you, I chose the former. I know you made this decision for me, you did it for me. His arms tightened as he forcefully hugged her. She closed her eyes and revealed a faint smile. Yes, she did it for him. In her heart, no matter what she did, it would be for him. She was just a little girl, only having him in her heart. She didn't have a heart for the country like him. The reason she did this was because he was the West Chu emperor. He shouldered the happiness of hundreds of thousands of citizens, so, what he wanted, she had to do it for him. Tell me, why did he give you that kind of drug? What else did he do to you? You're not allowed to hide anything, not a single word. Tell me everything. Mo Chuan's dark eyes stared right at her. She thought of that day and night of imprisonment, thinking of that airless underground stone room, and Miss Chen's pitiful cries of having her finger cut off. She couldn't help shivering and tightly snuggled into his embrace. Chapter 736. Chen Ning felt that Mo Chuan's arm had become as hard as stone and his chest was violently heaving up and down. She did not need to look up to know that he was filled with flames of rage. He hugged her and his eyes were cold and gloomy. The aura he released made her tremble as she looked up at him. Mo Chuan. Continue. He used a commanding tone that did not allow for any objections. His face was very calm, but his eyes were not calm at all. She bit her lips and continued to speak. He sent people to boil ginseng soup for me to drink. I wanted to recover my strength, so I drank it, but I never thought that he would drug the ginseng soup. When the drug took effect, he smiled at me and told me to beg him. As long as I begged him, he would give me the greatest happiness. I only had one thought in my heart at that time, which was to not beg him even if I died. But my consciousness became more and more blurry and I don't remember what happened. Mo Chuan, did you save me? How did you find me? Mo Chuan's teeth creaked as his eyes filled with killing intent and coldness. He did not hear Chen Ning's last two sentences at all. It was as if Chu Xiaoyang's proud and vicious smile appeared in front of him. Despicable. Shameless. Dirty. How could my Chu family have this kind of unfilial descendant? He tightly clenched his fist. If Chu Xiaoyang appeared in front of him at this moment, he would throw a punch without any hesitation. He was so angry that his body was trembling because he never thought that Chu Xiaoyang would do this kind of despicable thing. He thought that Chu Xiaoyang truly loved her and that if she went back with him, he would take good care of her and love her. He never would have thought that Chu Xiaoyang would treat her like this. He imprisoned her and even used iron chains to lock her up. The most despicable thing was that he gave her a strong drug that even the lowly thieves of the Jianghu would look down on. He even tempted a drugged girl to beg him. How despicable was a person to do this kind of thing? He was not a person at all. He was worse than a beast. Ning, from today onwards, I will never let him touch a single finger of yours. Definitely, not, right. Mo Chuan coldly gritted his teeth and his eyes turned cold and deep. Each word was like ice falling to the ground. This was his vow. Daring to treat his most beloved girl like this, he, Mo Chuan, would remember this and he would never forget it. So what if he was the previous emperor's son? So what if he had the Chu family's blood flowing in his veins? Since he did something that disgraced the Chu family ancestors, he would have to bear the consequences. In that instant, Mo Chuan had already made his decision. Mo Chuan, this is a matter between me and him, I want to solve it myself. She trembled in his arms and felt the murderous intent in his heart. She raised her head to look at his face and said with a determined expression. Mo Chuan lowered his head and looked at her. The killing intent in his eyes disappeared, but his eyes were still terrifying. No. He is, he said, he is, she is, he. Her, he is, she as. Her solution was to send herself into the tiger's mouth, almost being eaten by the tiger. If it wasn't for Xiao Bai saving her, she would have been eaten by Chu Xiaoyang without leaving a single bone behind. Facing his overbearing aura, Chen Ning's eyes did not back down at all. Mo Chuan, I've already thought of a way. That won't do. I said no means no. Chapter 737. His heart had already been broken and split once because of her decision. That kind of heart-tearing feeling was something he did not want to experience a second time. Because it was just too painful. He could only watch his most beloved girl leave with someone else, watching her fall into someone else's hands, but he could do nothing about it. He couldn't see her even if he wanted to. Every moment, it was like his heart was being bitten by a poisonous snake. This feeling was just too hard to bear. He was afraid that if she left him again, he wouldn't be able to take it. So holding her hand this time, he would not let go no matter what, never. All right, since you don't agree, then tell me, what are you going to do? Do you want to kill him? She asked directly. Mo Chuan's eyes darkened and he gritted his teeth. That's right, kill him. He even had the heart to cut Chu Xiaoyang into 1,000 pieces just now. But when he calmed down and thought about it, his urge to kill disappeared because he couldn't. He could remove him from his official position, send him to a barren land, and expel him from the capital city. But the only thing he couldn't do was kill him. But he clearly understood that as long as Chu Xiaoyang was alive, he would not let her go no matter what. Mo Chuan understood Chu Xiaoyang too well. If he couldn't obtain something, he would rather destroy it than let it fall into someone else's hands. And the way he could protect her was to keep her under his wings at all times, not letting Chu Xiaoyang's claws touch her. But, how long could he protect her? How long could he protect her? Even a tiger would need to take a nap. He was already very careful against Chu Xiaoyang, but Chu Xiaoyang still found a gap and took her away. If she fell into Chu Xiaoyang's hands again, would she be lucky enough to escape? The only way to solve this once and for all was to kill Chu Xiaoyang. But he couldn't do it. Then tell me, what good method do you have? He couldn't help admiring her intelligence. She understood him, even the side that he couldn't see through, she could clearly see it. She knew that he would never make a move against Chu Xiaoyang, so she didn't want to make it hard on him, so she said she wanted to solve it herself. Although he would never let her solve it herself because this was a matter between men. He said he would protect her, so he would definitely do it. But he really wanted to know what kind of strange idea she was thinking in her little head, so he might as well listen to her. Chen Ning raised her brows and moved her lips to his ears, saying a few words in a low voice. Before she could finish, Mo Chuan's body trembled and he forcefully shook his head. You can't. He sucked in a breath of cold air and stared at her in disbelief. His tone became serious. Ning, you should give up on that thought. Don't even think about it. I definitely won't agree. This was simply ridiculous. Mo Chuan never would have dreamed that she would think of this kind of whimsical idea. This was no different from asking a tiger for its skin. I will issue an imperial edict to banish him from the capital. He will not be allowed to take a single step into the capital in this lifetime. Chapter 738. Ning, Mo Chuan stared at her. Chen Ning continued to say, I am a woman, so I don't care about my reputation. But Mo Chuan, can you not care? You are the ruler of a country, so you have great ambitions and dreams. You have responsibilities and burdens that you can't let go of, so you cannot have a single stain on your reputation. If you turn from a well-loved emperor into an incompetent ruler because of me, will you be able to face Empress Dowager Zhou who raised you? Will you be able to face all the hard work you put into all these years? If you harm the country because of me, where will I be placed? How can I bear to do this? You won't be happy and I won't be happy. Perhaps we can be a bit more selfish, but you can't do that. So, no matter what, you can't touch Chu Xiaoyang, you definitely can't touch him. Mo Chuan was silent again. He had to admit that although her words were hard to hear, they were all facts. The most important thing is that my current identity is the Ding Yuan princess, so no matter what he does to me, it won't be a heinous crime in the eyes of others. So, you can't stand up for me. I want to solve this matter myself, I want to. Separate from him. She said word for word. He definitely won't agree. Mo Chuan tightly knit his brows. Then I'll force him to agree. No. It's too risky. He shook his head. How can you catch a tiger cub without entering the tiger's den? This is the best method I can think of and the only method. If we miss this chance, I'm afraid there won't be any other way. She took a deep breath. From the moment she thought of this method, she knew that she had to convince Mo Chuan. As long as Mo Chuan agreed, her plan would be able to proceed smoothly. She knew how hard it was to convince Mo Chuan, but no matter how hard it was, she had to try. Mo Chuan, do you believe me? She left his embrace and faced him. Her expression was serious and her eyes were like a pool of water, so clear that the bottom could be seen. Of course I believe you, but... No buts. Definitely no buts. Mo Chuan, you just need to believe me. I won't let anything happen because I'm the same as you. You can't bear to leave me and I can't bear to leave you. She murmured as she watched his eyebrows slowly rise. She watched as the sun shone on his handsome face and watched as his thin lips parted to refute her words. She suddenly moved forward and used her lips to block his words. She didn't know if he should be angry or laugh. But he couldn't help but hug her and sigh in his heart. She really knew him too well. She knew that he would never be able to resist her tenderness, but how could such a big matter be softened by just a kiss from her? If something happens... He suddenly gave a cold shiver. No, I can't. His lips moved to her ear and he said firmly, Ning, I really can't bear the pain of losing you again. So, I can't let you take this risk. Mo Chuan. She bit her lower lip and wanted to say more. He placed a finger on her lips and threatened her with his eyes. Chapter 739. Chen Ning was silent for a bit. She had to admit that Mo Chuan's words were reasonable, but she was confident. Her psychology and micro-expressions were not for naught. Why was it so hard to convince Mo Chuan? Although he respected her, he was as stubborn as a bull. He had his own rules and principles. She gave a sigh in her heart, knowing that she couldn't convince Mo Chuan. After this separation, his heart had become very weak and he had become very nervous. Leave this matter to me. You will stay with Dr. Zhang for now. Even if Chu Xiaoyang turns the capital upside down, he wouldn't think that you would be here, so he definitely won't be able to find you. Mo Chuan said in a voice that did not allow anyone to argue. Then I'll hide here for the rest of my life. She softly said. Of course not. Once the East Qin matter is over, I'll give him a rich fief and give him a large official position, letting him go to his fief. It sounded like a method, but, she thought about it and said, I heard Chu Xiaoyang say that Na Mu Kyo wants to compete with me again. Is there such a thing? That's right. Mo Chuan nodded and his brows knit together again. There really was a tiger in front and a wolf in the back. He was very clear on what Na Mu Kyo was thinking, but he still couldn't think of a good way to solve it. Let her compete. Of course not. What are you prepared to do? Do you agree or not? Her bright black eyes stared at him without blinking. Mo Chuan understood her meaning and rolled his eyes at her. This is a matter of the country, I have my own plans. You don't need to worry, just obediently rest here and recover. Mo Chuan, I also want to do my part for the country and help you share your worries. No need. The court has so many ministers, there is no need for a little girl like you to do her best for the country. Are they all freeloaders? If you want to help me, then stay here and you're not allowed to go anywhere. Mo Chuan once again held her in his arms. Then. She still wanted to say something, but it was his turn to lower his head. He said in a low voice, "Do you still remember what I said? Don't say no to me. If you say it once, I'll kiss you once." He was a man. If he didn't even have the ability to protect the woman he loved, was he still worthy of being a man? Letting her take this risk was the same as slapping his face. He definitely would not allow it. Gazing at her, he gently pinched her smooth chin with his fingers, his eyes shining with the light of conviction. "Ning, you don't need to think about anything. You just need to trust me with your future. I'll take care of everything." His eyes were burning with passion and unparalleled dominance. She looked up at him and the light in his eyes lit up her heart. He was so strong that he was like a towering tree, spreading its dense branches to block all the wind and rain outside for her. She liked his strong confidence, liked the sense of security he gave her, liked the way he stared at her so passionately. "All right, Mo Chuan, I'll listen to you." She obediently closed her mouth and buried her head into his chest. Mo Chuan said, "Chuan, Chuan." Chuan's eyes turned. He wanted to protect her, and at the same time, she also wanted to protect what he wanted to protect. He didn't only have her in his heart, he also had a country and hundreds of thousands of people. Chapter 740. He couldn't find her. Chu Xiaoyang's secret guards turned the entire capital city upside down, but they couldn't find any trace of Qin Ning. The first place he went to was Chu Xiaobai's King Jing'an palace, but he came up empty. The palace's housekeeper said that King Jing'an was in the palace discussing matters with the emperor and had not returned yet. Chu Xiaoyang naturally did not believe this. He searched Chu Xiaobai's palace from top to bottom and found that Chu Xiaobai had not returned yet. But this did not dispel his suspicions because the snow satin robe was Chu Xiaobai's symbol. This was because this good material was transported from a foreign land and there was only one piece. Empress Dowager Zhou liked Chu Xiaobai and knew that he liked wearing white clothes, so she gave the entire piece of snow satin to Chu Xiaobai. The second place Chu Xiaoyang went to was the eldest princess palace. This time, he did not even enter the door before he was sent flying out by the furious eldest princess. "Chu Xiaoyang, you actually dared to break into my palace and take Ning away. This princess still hasn't settled this matter with you and you actually ran into this princess palace. Looking for Ning. Wasn't Ning taken away by you? What kind of wicked things did you do this time to piss Ning off? You deserve it. This princess gets angry when she sees you. Not to mention Ning, not coming to this princess palace, even if she did come, this princess would not let her see you. You better disappear from this princess' eyes, otherwise this princess will hit you every time I see you." The eldest princess placed her hands on her hips and raised her brows. She held the shining dragon spring sword in her hand as she stood in front of the door, cursing Chu Xiaoyang. Chu Xiaoyang's face lost all face from being cursed. Thinking of what he had done, he felt ashamed and had nothing to say. "Royal aunt, it was this nephew's mistake that made Ning leave in anger. If royal aunt has news of Ning please send someone to tell this nephew. This nephew will personally apologize to her," he sincerely said. "So you really did something wicked to make Ning leave in anger. Scram. This princess doesn't want to see you." The eldest princess was so angry that her face turned red. She waved her sword at Chu Xiaoyang and turned around, closing the door with a ping sound. Chu Xiaoyang was given the cold shoulder, but he was not angry. He understood the eldest princess' temper. If Ning was in her palace, she would not scold him like this. If she wasn't here, then where did Chu Xiaobai take her? Could it be the palace? Chu Xiaoyang's eyes turned cold and he turned to leave. But when he arrived in front of the palace, a fast horse came from inside. When the person on the horse saw him, he immediately dismounted. This person was wearing unique robes. It was Mo Chuan's personal attendant, Xiao Si. King Ding Yuan received the decree. The emperor has spoken. Summon King Ding Yuan to the royal study. Xiao Si said in a clear voice. Dingt, King Ding down, TTT King Xiao Chen CC down. King Ding, he shook his robe and strode inside, arriving at the royal study in one breath. Xiao Si followed behind him, panting heavily. Prince, please wait a moment. Let this servant go in and report. Down. But then he heard the voice of someone inside. That clear and melodious voice belonged to Chu Xiaobai. Hearing Chu Xiaobai's voice, the flames in his heart were ignited. He did not wait for Xiao Si to go in and report before he pushed open the door to the royal study with a ping sound. This is truly strange. Chu Xiaobai had already thought of a countermeasure, so his words were watertight. Chu Xiaoyang angrily said, You're speaking nonsense. You were the one who sneaked into my mansion last night and took Ning away. Third brother, don't wrongly accuse this little brother. This little brother stayed in the palace last night and talked with the emperor until dawn. You cannot believe this little brother, but do you not believe the emperor? Chu Xiaobai's face sunk. Emperor, hey, isn't the emperor on the same side as you? Chu Xiaoyang's anger rushed to his head and he gave a cold laugh. Suddenly, he saw Mo Chuan's cold gaze from the corner of his eyes and he swallowed the words he wanted to say. Chapter 742. Xiao Si, leave. Mo Chuan, who was sitting behind the throne, gently waved his hand. His expression did not change as he looked at the aggressive Chu Xiaoyang. Xiaoyang, we can slowly talk things out. Let go of Xiaobai first, what are you doing? He coldly reprimanded. Although his face was calm, his tone and demeanor carried a majesty that was as heavy as a boulder, making people have no choice but to obey. Chu Xiaoyang couldn't help letting go, but his eyes were still filled with hatred as he glared at Chu Xiaobai. Chu Xiaobai casually said, Third brother, this is the royal study. Seeing the emperor, shouldn't you greet him? The dissatisfied eyes of the ministers fell onto Chu Xiaoyang's face and they couldn't help secretly shaking their heads. Losing face in front of a ruler, losing face in front of a ruler. This kind of explosive personality, it really lost the previous emperor's face. Chu Xiaoyang's heart turned cold. He immediately hid the angry expression on his face and adjusted his clothes before bowing to Mo Chuan. This humble minister greets the emperor. Xiao Si, King Ding Yuan has a seat. Mo Chuan said. Xiao Si moved a chair for Chu Xiaoyang. Chu Xiaoyang looked at the ministers' faces and saw that they all had serious expressions, so he sat down. Xiaoyang, do you know why this one has summoned you into the palace? Mo Chuan softly said. This minister does not know. Chu Xiaoyang ground his teeth. He slightly looked up and looked at Mo Chuan. He saw that the other side's face was completely calm, without any clues at all. There was no sadness, no anger, and no joy at all. His heart couldn't help being filled with doubt. Could it be that after Chu Xiaobai kidnapped Ning, he did not bring her into the palace? But he knew that the emperor did not show any emotions on his face, so he couldn't see anything from the surface. He did not believe that Chu Xiaobai had the courage to hide Qin Ning and enjoy her for himself, unless he didn't want to live anymore. Thinking of this, he couldn't help clenching his fists and glaring at Chu Xiaobai. Chu Xiaobai innocently blinked and said in a strange voice, Third brother, why do you keep glaring at this little brother? This matter has nothing to do with this little brother. It has nothing to do with you. Then who does it have to do with? Chu Xiaoyang was filled with rage. Of course it has something to do with the East Qin Crown Prince. What nonsense are you saying? What does this matter have to do with the East Qin Crown Prince? It's clearly you. Chu Xiaoyang raised his voice and suddenly felt everyone's eyes looking at him. They all had disapproving expressions on their faces, so he couldn't help shutting his mouth and looking at everyone in confusion. King Dingyuan, you can't make a ruckus in front of the emperor. Do you not even understand the rules of the court? A minister could no longer hold back and reminded him. Chu Xiaoyang, Xiao Chu Chu Si, said. His heart trembled. Ding. He couldn't be like Mo Chuan and Chu Xiaobai. They had clearly done something wrong, but they acted like nothing had happened to him. They were all hypo. Emperor, why did the emperor summon this minister to the palace? Chu Xiaoyang barely suppressed the anger in his heart as he spoke in a deep voice. Chapter 743. Emperor. Chu Xiaoyang suddenly stood up and his face turned livid. Could it be that the emperor didn't hear this minister say that this minister's princess was kidnapped by someone last night? Oh. Is there really such a thing? Xiaoyang, this is a very important matter, you can't joke about it. My West Chu country's lifeline is tied to the princess. You say that the princess was kidnapped, but do you have any proof? When was she kidnapped? Where was she kidnapped? How was she kidnapped? Who kidnapped her? Are the guards in your fu all freeloading? Are they just going to watch as the princess is taken away by others? Also, Xiaoyang, your martial arts are very strong. When the princess is sick, you should be by her side. Could it be that someone kidnapped the princess under your watch? That doesn't seem possible, right? Mo Chuan's question was the same as Chu Xiaobai's, but it was even sharper and more direct than Chu Xiaobai's. It made Chu Xiaoyang unable to defend himself at all. I. He was stunned and couldn't answer. He had been speaking in a righteous manner, but he suddenly found that he had become the one who had nothing to say. Mo Chuan's questions, he couldn't answer a single one because he didn't dare answer. He couldn't say in front of all the ministers that he had imprisoned his princess in the underground stone room. He couldn't say that he had chained her limbs, he couldn't say that he had drugged her, and he couldn't say that he wanted to imprison her for a lifetime. The more he couldn't answer, the more everyone would think that he had a guilty conscience. Mo Chuan gave a cold laugh. King Dingyuan, this one thinks that you don't want the princess to show her face again, so you're purposely finding an excuse, right? Last night at the palace banquet, you used all sorts of excuses to not agree, and today you're finding this ridiculous excuse. You're saying that the princess was kidnapped and you're saying that Xiao Bai kidnapped your princess. This is simply ridiculous. Ask all the ministers here and see if anyone believes your words. The ministers all nodded. They did not believe a single word of Chu Xiaoyang's words. They had all seen the situation at the palace banquet last night. When the East Qin Crown Prince proposed another match with the princess, King Dingyuan's face clearly had the word unwilling written all over it. He even said that the princess was seriously ill. Humph, even if it was a serious illness, wouldn't it be cured after taking that precious snow ginseng? But in just one night, King Dingyuan had actually run into the palace and said that the princess had been kidnapped by someone. This was the biggest joke in the world. What everyone felt was impossible was that King Dingyuan would insist that King Jing'an did it. What kind of person was King Jing'an? The ministers were all clearer than anyone else. In terms of character, talent, elegance, and pure heart. He was stronger than King Dingyuan in every aspect. He was a well-educated person. How could he kidnap his third sister-in-law? This was clearly a lie made by King Dingyuan. Sigh, as the son of the former emperor, he doesn't see the big picture. How disappointing. Chapter 744. He forcefully pointed at Chu Xiaobai and threw the snow-white robe at Chu Xiaobai's face. Chu Xiaobai gently dodged and caught the robe in his hand, looking at it. Third brother, this little brother has already said that this is my robe, but after it was dirty last night, this little brother threw it away and I don't know where it went. Not to mention that this little brother was with the emperor last night, so if third brother doesn't believe me, you can ask the emperor for proof. His eyes were calm, but Chu Xiaoyang did not believe him. He forcefully gritted his teeth. Ask the emperor for proof. Of course the emperor would testify for him. Xiaoyang, don't be unreasonable. Xiaobai was indeed in the palace last night and he drank too much, so this one sent someone to make a hangover soup for him. Xiaoxi, do you think this is true? Mo Chuan slowly said. Reporting to the emperor, this hangover soup was personally made by this servant. This servant is willing to testify for King Jing, and Xiaoxi bowed and replied. Hearing the three of them speak in such a confident manner, Chu Xiaoyang almost broke his teeth from gritting them. He had some doubts in his heart, but now he believed that this matter had something to do with the three of them. If Ning, or was it hidden by them, he wouldn't believe it even if he was beaten to death. But the ministers were all standing on the emperor and Chu Xiaobai's side, staring at him with condemning gazes. King Dingyuan, you don't believe King Jing An's words, but you don't believe the emperor's words either. There is a saying that a ruler does not lie. The emperor has already said that he was with King Jing'an, so why do you insist that it was King Jing'an who kidnapped the princess? Right now we are all working hard for the East Qin tribute, but King Dingyuan is only thinking about a single woman. If the previous emperor knew about this, I don't know how disappointed he would be. Chu Xiaoyang listened to the ministers criticizing him. His face turned green and red as his chest violently heaved up and down. He really wanted to roar out, "You've all been tricked. What do you know?" But in front of the emperor, he couldn't act rashly no matter what because he couldn't give the emperor a chance to punish him. Mo Chuan raised his hand and the ministers stopped talking. The royal study was filled with silence. He raised his deep eyes and stared at Chu Xiaoyang without blinking. King Dingyuan, the rise and fall of the country is everyone's responsibility. You are an important minister of the country and the heir of the royal family. As your princess, she is also a member of the royal family, so she should do her part for the country and the citizens. This one has already promised the East Qin crown prince that in 3 days, I will send your princess to have another match with him. So, whether your princess is kidnapped or sick, this one will give you 3 days. In 3 days, this one wants to see her appear on the eastern field unharmed. Otherwise, don't blame this one for being. Even if you is, this one. This one's. This one, won. His voice was cold and stern, making Chu Xiaoyang speechless. In terms of eloquence, how could Chu Xiaoyang be Mo Chuan's match? Not to mention that he was angry and anxious, so he couldn't say anything. 3 Xiao Qin. He did not know where Chen Ning was, so how could he hand her over in 3 days? This was clearly a trap set by the emperor and Chu Xiaobai. Chu Xiaoyang almost spat out blood from his hatred. He tightly clenched his fists and his joints made a cracking sound. His eyes were blood red as he stared at Mo Chuan. Chapter 745. Chu Xiaoyang was filled with rage. He wanted to make a move, but Xiaoxi's sudden shout woke him up. This minister does not dare. This minister will leave as ordered. He took a step back and slowly left the royal study. He turned around and glared at the closed doors with eyes filled with hatred. He was a minister and the other side was the ruler. How could his little arm go up against the emperor's thigh? But that throne should have been his. He should be the one to sit there and give orders. But all of this had been taken away by that person. He had taken away the throne that should have belonged to him, and now he was coveting his princess. If this could be tolerated, what could not be tolerated? The anger in Chu Xiaoyang's heart had already reached its peak. As long as he ignited it, it would explode into a prairie fire. Chu Mo Chuan, there will be a day when I will take back everything you took from me, bit by bit. I will make you crawl under my feet, and I will let you taste the humiliation I received today. Chu Mo Chuan. He said this word in his heart. With each step he took, he left a footprint on the ground. For the next 3 days, Chu Xiaoyang's subordinates searched the streets of the capital city, but they could not find Chen Ning at all. It was like she had disappeared from the world, not leaving a single clue behind. Chu Xiaoyang sent people to monitor Chu Xiaobai's King Jing and palace day and night. He firmly believed that this matter was related to Chu Xiaobai, so no matter where Chu Xiaobai went, there would always be Chu Xiaoyang's secret guards following him. Chu Xiaobai's movements over the past 3 days were very normal, not showing any abnormalities at all. Every morning he would go to morning court, and after morning court, he would go to the Peaceful Life Palace to greet Empress Dowager Zhou. After eating lunch with Empress Dowager Zhou, he would return to his palace. After returning to his palace, he never came out again. After Chu Xiaoyang received the same report, the anxiety in his heart became even stronger. He knew that Chen Ning couldn't last more than 3 days. If there was no antidote in 3 days, she would die without a doubt. If she was still alive, she would have already been taken by another man. But who would cure her? When he thought of her charming appearance when the drug took effect, her hot and trembling body, and her half-closed eyes, he regretted it so much that his intestines turned green. If he knew it would be like this, he would not have drugged her no matter what. Now he had shot himself in the foot, actually sending her into another man's embrace. At the thought of this, he was burning with jealousy. But even so, he still hoped that she could live. As long as she was alive, even if she gave her first time to another man, he could bear it, because it was much better than losing her completely. With this kind of mentality, Chu Xiaoyang brought his subordinates to search for an entire 3 days and 3 nights. He did not sleep at all, and his eyes were completely red. No matter who saw him, they would not be able to connect this tired and sloppy man with the handsome King Ding Yuan. Chen Ning peacefully spent the next 3 days in Dr. Zhang's palace. That 1,000-year-old snow ginseng was indeed a great tonic, having the effect of reviving the dead. Because she had lost too much blood and used too much energy, her face was pale and she was very tired. But on the 2nd day after taking the snow ginseng soup, her face became rosy again and she was filled with energy. Chapter 746. Finally, it was the 4th day, and it was also the day of the competition between East Qin and West Chu. There was still an hour until noon, and the East and West stands were already filled with people. Almost all the West Chu civil and military officials were present, and on the opposite East Qin stands, other than Na Mu Kuo who had not shown himself, the rest of the East Qin envoys were all present. The two sides faced each other across the stands, but their expressions were very different. The East Qin envoys all had looks like they wanted to wash away their shame, but the West Chu ministers were all glowing and full of energy. They gathered in groups of 2s and 3s to talk, all talking about the competition that was about to begin. They all had a large amount of confidence in the Ding Yuan princess victory. But seeing that it was almost noon, everyone stretched their necks to look at the gates, but they did not see King Ding Yuan and the princess figure at all. The ministers began to feel uneasy in their hearts as they began to discuss. I heard that the princess consort was sick at the banquet that day. Could it be that she hasn't recovered yet, so she can't come? No, this official clearly remembers that the East Qin crown prince gave King Ding Yuan 1,000-year-old snow ginseng. Even if he was sick, he would be cured after taking that snow ginseng. Perhaps King Ding Yuan doesn't want the princess to show herself and participate in the competition. Even King Ding Yuan hasn't appeared yet. King Ding Yuan wouldn't be running away, right? If he doesn't appear for such a large matter, then he will be the greatest sinner of our West Chu country. The more anxious everyone became, the more angry they became. The words they said became more and more unpleasant to hear. Even Empress Dowager Zhou was a bit impatient. She looked up at the sky outside and put down the teacup in her hand, looking at Imo Chuan. Emperor, Xiao Yang wouldn't. Wouldn't he? She hesitated before shaking her head and saying, this widow doesn't think he would be this ignorant. But her face already revealed a look of displeasure. Imo Chuan's expression did not change as he softly said, Mother, you can be assured. Xiao Yang is the previous emperor's son and he is part of the royal family, he knows what to do. But the time was getting closer and closer to noon, but Chu Xiao Yang and Qin Ning still hadn't appeared. How could Empress Dowager Zhou not be anxious? Imo Chuan looked at the other side's East Qin stands and quickly looked over the crowd. His heart was filled with doubt and he felt a bit uneasy at the same time. The East Qin envoys were all here, but Na Mu Kyo was missing. What did this mean? This Na Mu Kyo wouldn't be playing tricks again, right? Xiao Na Mu Kyo. He called Xiao Si over and gave him a few orders in a low voice, having him go to the other side's East Qin envoys to inquire about the situation. After Na Mu Xiao left, Mo Chen's heart could not calm down and Qin's heart. Qin's words. Qin Xiao left. Mo and Mo Qin's heart, he, Xiao, but Qin's. King. Qin Mu Xiao Qin Chu Xiao Qin Xiao was Qin's king. Qin's Chu's heart. His heart raced. He suddenly thought, could something have happened to her? Then he comforted himself. No, Shui Feng was by her side and Dr. Zhang's palace was very safe. Even if Chu Xiaoyang broke his head, he wouldn't have thought that she would stay with Dr. Zhang. But the uneasiness in his heart kept growing. Chapter 747. This servant has asked the East Qin side and they don't know where the crown prince went. They are the same as us, everyone is panicking. Xiao Si said. Hearing this, Mo Chuan's brows knit even tighter. Suddenly hearing the sound of horse hooves coming from the distance, the ministers all revealed looks of joy. They're here. They're here. It must be King Ding Yuan and the princess. The situation last time was the same as this time. Chu Xiaoyang rode a date red horse and appeared in front of them with his princess, solving the West Chu's problem. The ministers couldn't help standing up and walking to the edge of the stands to watch. Mo Chuan and Empress Dowager Zhou's eyes followed everyone to look at the gate of the field. The East Qin stands on the other side also broke out in cheers, shouting in the East Qin language. The crown prince is here. Under the expectant gazes of the crowd, a fine horse galloped into the drill ground at lightning speed and appeared in front of everyone. The horse charged to the bottom of the stands in one breath. Everyone finally saw the face of the rider and they couldn't help revealing looks of disappointment. That person was wearing a gray robe, and there was nothing eye-catching about his attire. Even his face was expressionless, as if he was carved out of wood. It's not the crown prince. The people in the East Qin stands all sat down in disappointment. Most of the West Chu people did not recognize this person. But Mo Chuan and Xiao Si recognized him. This person was Shui Feng. Seeing Shui Feng, Mo Chuan's heart jumped into his throat. He couldn't help clenching his fists as his eyes stared right at Shui Feng. Shui Feng's figure flashed and everyone only saw a gray figure flash by. Then they saw this unremarkable gray-clothed person climb onto the high platform. Once this Qinggong was revealed, the eyes of those who knew martial arts lit up and they couldn't help cheering. Who is this person? Good Qinggong. In front of everyone's admiring gazes, Shui Feng quickly walked in front of Mo Chuan and kneeled down. This subordinate is incompetent and could not complete the emperor's task. I asked the emperor to heavily punish this subordinate. Hearing this, Mo Chuan's face instantly sunk. He had already guessed the reason and could no longer sit still. He stood up and walked to the back with Shui Feng following behind him. Speak clearly. What exactly happened? Where is she? He walked to the back of the stands and there was no one around. Mo Chuan stopped and suddenly turned around. He grabbed Shui Feng's shoulder and asked in a deep voice. There was a trace of uncontrollable trembling in his voice. Shui Feng wanted to kneel down and report, but he found that his shoulder was grabbed by the emperor and he couldn't move at all. His face was filled with shame as he replied, Emperor, this subordinate has failed in his duty and has lost the princess consort. Lost? Lost how? How could she suddenly disappear without any rhyme or reason? Na mu kyo. No, Shui said. No, no. Shui Feng repeatedly shook his head. Mo Chuan couldn't help letting out a sigh of relief. As long as it wasn't these two, he wasn't afraid. Tell me everything clearly. He loosened his grip and took a step back. Chapter 748. But suddenly, this subordinate heard a surprised cry coming from the princess consort's room. This subordinate was shocked and immediately jumped to the window to ask, but I didn't hear the princess consort's reply. This subordinate was worried that something had happened to the princess consort, so I opened the door and saw that the princess consort's hands and feet had been tied up. She was lying on the bed and there was no one around her. This subordinate was shocked and angry, quickly running over to help the princess consort. Who would have thought that there would be a pain in the back of my head? Someone had attacked this subordinate from the side and this subordinate fainted. When this subordinate woke up, this subordinate found out. Found out. He stammered and had a look of shame on his face. Found out what? Mo Chuan's face turned livid as he angrily said. This subordinate found out that the girl tied up on the bed was not the princess consort, but rather the maid that brought food in. But she was wearing the princess consort's clothes and was facing the bed. This subordinate did not notice and mistook her for the princess consort. Thinking about it, the person that was hiding on the side and secretly attacking this subordinate is very likely to be the princess consort. Shui Feng's face was filled with shame. He rubbed the back of his head which was still aching. This subordinate also found a pile of broken pieces on the ground that seemed to be a vase. It seems like the princess consort used that vase to knock this subordinate out. This subordinate does not understand how this subordinate has offended the princess consort. Why would the princess consort treat this subordinate like this? This subordinate wanted to ask the princess consort, but the princess consort had disappeared. This subordinate asked the guards at the door and they all said that they did not see the princess consort, but there was a maid that went out to buy needles and thread not long ago. This subordinate guessed that the maid was the princess consort, but this subordinate did not understand why she would do this. This subordinate couldn't find her, so this subordinate came back to report to the emperor, asking the emperor to punish this subordinate. He fell to the ground and begged for forgiveness, but his heart was still filled with confusion. Mo Chuan's heart was already clear. He couldn't help feeling angry, anxious, and hateful. If Qin Ning was in front of him, he would have ruthlessly taught this daring girl a lesson without saying a word. Very good, Shui Feng, you really are very good. As this one's most capable secret guard, you can't even keep an eye on a girl that doesn't know martial arts. Your skills are really getting better and better. Mo Chuan looked at Shui Feng and his voice was very unkind. He couldn't find Qin Ning to punish her, so he could only vent his anger on Shui Feng. Shui Feng did not dare breathe loudly, feeling incomparably ashamed. He felt that he had lost too much face and could not raise his head at all. This subordinate knows his crime. I ask the emperor to heavily punish me. Punish? You've lost her in front of this one, how do you think this one should punish you? Mo Chuan's brows jumped up, but there was no joy or anger in his voice. Shui Feng's heart trembled. He knew that the calmer the emperor's voice was, the more angry he was, but he knew that he deserved it. No matter how the emperor punished him, he was willing to do it. No matter what punishment it is, I am willing to accept it, he replied, prostrating himself on the ground. Very good, then go find her for this one. If you can't find her, then don't appear in front of this one for the rest of your life. After Mo Chuan said this, he waved his sleeve and left without looking back. Feng said. Chapter 749. Mo Chuan returned to the front desk. Although he was used to not showing his emotions, Chu Xiaobai, who was familiar with him, still found something strange. Emperor, what happened? Why did Jue Feng come here? Could it be? Before he finished speaking, Mo Chuan took a deep breath and closed his eyes. She disappeared. Disappeared? What do you mean? Emperor, can you explain it clearly? Chu Xiaobai was shocked. Mo Chuan's eyes sunk as he repeated Jue Feng's words. Then he said, she just walked away like this. She was wearing the clothes of a maid and left in front of everyone's eyes. When Chu Xiaobai heard this, he was stunned for a while before saying, it can't be, right? Why would Ning sneak away? Could it be that she wanted to compete with the East Qin crown prince? He knew that today's competition was just a pretense and not a true competition because he knew that Chu Xiaobai could not hand over the person. If Qin Ning did not appear, then this competition would be postponed or cancelled. But if Qin Ning really appeared here... Mo Chuan slowly shook his head. He thought of the bold and whimsical idea Qin Ning had mentioned to him and he felt a chill run down his back. It would be fine if she really came to compete, but he was afraid that she would not come here and would go somewhere else. This one is worried about her. His words suddenly stopped because he suddenly heard the sound of horse hooves coming from the distance. His heart jumped up as he walked to the edge of the stands and looked in the direction of the sound. Chu Xiaobai followed beside him. He saw another fast horse rush into the field. It's third brother is here. He muttered. His eyes could see very far and he could see that there was only Chu Xiaoyang on the horse, but there was no sign of Qin Ning. His heart couldn't help feeling uneasy. When the West Chu ministers saw Chu Xiaoyang, they all revealed looks of joy. When they saw that it was only Chu Xiaoyang, the smiles on their faces froze. The ministers all began to discuss. Where is the princess consort? Why hasn't she appeared? Could it be that His Highness does not allow the princess consort to appear? Last time he said the princess consort was sick, so he might find some other reason this time. Chu Xiaoyang stepped onto the stands in front of everyone's strange gazes. When everyone saw his appearance, they couldn't help being stunned. His luxurious purple robe was covered in dust, and his face was haggard. His eyes were bloodshot, his muscles were hideous, and his eyes were lifeless. He looked as if he had just suffered from a serious illness, or as if he had just crawled out of a pit. His clothes were the most important to him. Every time he appeared in front of people, he would make himself look dazzling and full of vigor. The ministers had known him for a long time, but they had never seen him in such a sorry appearance. Those who were secretly jealous of him were secretly pleased to see him like this. However, they greeted him with smiles on their faces, pretending to be concerned about him. Xiao, Chu turned a deaf ear to everyone's questions. He walked straight at Mo Chuan with his hands tightly clenched into fists by his side. His heart was filled with hatred. It had been 3 days. For 3 whole days, he hadn't closed his eyes once. Chapter 750. Seeing that the time was approaching and the deadline was approaching, he had to come back to give the emperor an explanation, give East Qin an explanation, and give the West Chu ministers and citizens an explanation. But if he couldn't hand her over, he knew what the consequences would be. The emperor would use this chance to suppress him and belittle him. He would bear the name of a sinner of West Chu. He did not care about any of this. As long as he could find her and know that she was safe, he was willing to bear all the charges. But he couldn't find her. He couldn't see her alive or dead. Chu Xiaoyang's heart felt like it was being bitten by something, making him bleed and filled with unbearable pain. With every step he took, his heart was filled with a heavy pain. He hated everyone here. The person he hated the most was Mo Chuan. It was clearly him who hid Ning, or in a place he couldn't find, but he was using this kind of method to force him to hand her over. Chu Xiaoyang's teeth almost broke from gritting. He walked in front of Mo Chuan and stood there, not kneeling down at all. King Dingyuan, why aren't you bowing to the emperor? Xiao Si couldn't help scolding him. Chu Xiaoyang curled his lips into a cold smile. Emperor, this minister is here to report. Mo Chuan's eyes fell onto Chu Xiaoyang. Seeing his appearance, his heart couldn't help trembling. Even Empress Dowager Zhou revealed a look of shock. Xiaoyang, what's wrong? Are you sick or injured? She asked in a caring voice. Chu Xiaoyang gave a bitter smile and said to Empress Dowager Zhou, this minister is not sick or injured. This minister is just missing something and can't find it. What thing is missing? Is it something very important? Yes, it's very important. It's this minister's most precious thing. Oh, what is it? Say it and this widow will have the emperor send people to help you find it. It's this minister's princess that's missing. Chu Xiaoyang looked at Empress Dowager Zhou, but he looked at Mo Chuan from the corner of his eyes as he said this word for word. What did you say? Even Empress Dowager Zhou's expression wouldn't change even if Emnutai collapsed in front of her, but when she heard this, her finger trembled and she knocked over the teacup. The hot tea spilled onto her, but she didn't feel it at all. She suddenly stood up from the chair and grabbed Chu Xiaoyang's wrist, asking again. Say it again clearly, who's missing? This minister's princess, Chen Ning. Empress Dowager Zhou's expression suddenly changed. She immediately turned to look at Mo Chuan and said in a low voice, Emperor, do you know about this matter? Her first reaction when she heard the news was that this matter had something to do with her son. It must have been her son who had sent someone to get rid of them. Mo Chuan met Empress Dowager Zhou's gaze and calmly nodded. Chapter 751. Mother, your son never thought that King Dingyuan would not change his ways even after 3 days, so your son was just as shocked and angry as mother when he found out about this. After Mo Chuan said this, he turned to Chu Xiaoyang. King Dingyuan, do you know how important today's competition is? Why do you insist on not letting the princess come to compete? Why do you insist on stopping her? Why do you insist that the princess is missing? It was clearly you who took away the princess that day and your palace is like an iron wall. This one does not believe that anyone would take away the princess from your palace. If you don't want the princess to help West Chu, you can say it. Why do you have to find this ridiculous reason? Don't you think this reason is too ridiculous? Chu Xiaoyang almost exploded. He was completely speechless from Mo Chuan's words. He was filled with so much grievance that he wanted to die. It was clearly the other side's fault and the other side had laid a trap, but the other side had spoken so eloquently that he couldn't explain himself. This was the first time he had been wronged like this by someone, so he gritted his teeth in hatred. Chu Mo Chuan. You really have skills. You can turn black into white. You can even throw the dirty water of harming the country onto me, Chu Xiaoyang. He stared right at Mo Chuan. If he had teeth in his eyes, he would have already bitten off a piece of Mo Chuan's flesh. Mo Chuan's words were very reasonable and his expression was calm. Empress Dowager Zhou almost immediately believed him. She did not believe Mo Chuan, rather she believed Chu Xiaobai. If it was said that other people could do such a ridiculous thing, Chu Xiaobai definitely would not. In her heart, Chu Xiaobai was a filial, reasonable, and good child. She also believed that other people could lie to her, but Chu Xiaobai would never do such a thing. Xiaoyang, the emperor is right, this widow understands Xiaobai. Ning is his third sister-in-law, so no matter how reckless he is, he would not do such a ridiculous thing. It is impossible for him to take Ning away from your palace. If he really did do this, with all the guards in your palace, have they seen it with their own eyes? Are there any witnesses? You can't wrongly accuse Xiaobai. Empress Dowager Zhou's words almost made Chu Xiaoyang spit out a mouthful of blood. He couldn't help secretly cursing in his heart, biased old woman. In your eyes, there is only Chu Xiaobai's good and you can't see my, Chu Xiaoyang's good. Imperial grandmother, it's not that grandson is certain that this matter was done by Xiaobai, but that the person who kidnapped Ning was wearing a snow satin robe. According to grandson's knowledge, this snow satin is something that only Imperial grandmother has, and Imperial grandmother has bestowed this satin to Xiaobai, so, hearing this, Empress Dowager Zhou's heart couldn't help sinking. She looked up at Xiaobai. Hearing this, Empress Dowager Zhou's words, Empress Dowager Xiao Zhou. Xiao 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 xiao, this xiao xiao you, xiao xiao xiao, xiao 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 xiao, you, xiao 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 you did this. Xiao xiao, xiao xiao xiao, xiao xiao xiao. Xiao xiao said xiao xiao xiao. Empress Dowager Zhou said with a nod, this widow believes you. Xiaoyang, this matter was not done by Xiaobai. Are you sure Ning was taken away by someone and didn't leave on her own? Did you do something wrong to make her angry? Is that why she left the residence? Chu Xiaoyang blurted out, definitely not. She was chained to the bed, how could she leave on her own? Chapter 752. Everyone's eyes looked over at Chu Xiaoyang. Their eyes were filled with confusion, anger, condemnation, and disdain. Empress Dowager Zhou's eyes darkened a bit and she asked in a soft voice, chained to the bed. Xiaoyang, did you imprison Ning? What did she do that you have to treat her like this? Mo Chuan's forehead couldn't help twitching. Although he already knew about this from Chen Ning's mouth, personally hearing Chu Xiaoyang say it, he was still filled with rage that he almost couldn't suppress. Chu Xiaoyang raised his chin and calmly replied, Royal Grandmother, your grandson did not imprison Ning, it was for her own good. After the competition that day, she fainted. Your grandson brought her back and found that she was heavily injured, with deep knife marks on her wrists. It was clear that she had lost a lot of blood, so your grandson invited a doctor to see her. The doctor said that she was very tired and her body was very weak, so she had to rest in bed. However, Ning did not listen to the doctor and wanted to go to the palace for the banquet. Your grandson was helpless and could only use iron chains to lock her up, not allowing her to leave the bed. When your grandson entered the palace, the East Qin crown prince gave me 1,000-year-old snow ginseng. After returning, your grandson immediately sent people to make ginseng soup for Ning, to drink, so I did not have time to untie her. At this time, there was a fire in your grandson's palace and your grandson rushed out to put out the fire. In less than half a cup of tea's time, when your grandson came back, Ning had already disappeared and there were only 2 chains left. Royal Grandmother, this grandson's words are all true, please Royal Grandmother understand. His words were clear and loud, flowing like the clouds in flowing water. It was obvious that he had already thought of this speech before he came. He was not just saying this for Empress Dowager Zhou, he was saying it for all the ministers present to hear. Otherwise, if everyone forced him to hand her over, how could he hand her over? When Empress Dowager Zhou and the ministers heard this, they were filled with doubt, but they couldn't find anything wrong with it. So it's like this. Then you're saying that someone really snuck into your palace and kidnapped Ning, or? Empress Dowager Zhou looked at Imo Chuan from the corner of her eyes. Seeing that her son's expression did not change, she had an idea in her heart. No wonder Chu Xiaoyang complained to her. Even if this matter was not ordered by the emperor would still know where Ning was, otherwise how could he be this calm? Chu Xiaoyang forcefully nodded. Yes, royal grandson would not dare lie to you. Not to mention that the competition with Yixin is about to begin and I haven't been able to find Ning. Grandson is just as worried as everyone else. Grandson is worried about Ning's safety and grandson is worried about my West Chu, but the emperor does not believe grandson's words. Even if grandson is muddle-headed, would not do something that would lose my country. Empress Dowager Zhou gave a slight nod and said to Imo Chuan, Emperor, Xiaoyang's words aren't false. Quickly send someone to find the princess. If the princess doesn't appear by the time it's time, wouldn't Yixin laugh at my West Chu for not keeping their word? Mo Xiao Chen's words. He softly looked at Chu Xiaoyang. Although he was angry at the despicable things he did to Qin Ning, his words just now were watertight, completely washing himself away. He was a very smart person. Xiao Si, send the order. All the royal guards will search for the princess' whereabouts, they must find the princess before noon. He gave the order. Chapter 753. Emperor, you sent the royal guards to search for someone. They can't find her at all. In these 3 days, this minister has already brought people to search the entire capital city. Chu Xiaoyang couldn't help saying this. What, Xiaoyang, you think that this one's royal guards are useless and can't compare to your subordinates, right? Mo Chuan raised his brows and asked. Emperor, this minister doesn't mean that. Chu Xiaoyang choked and said with wide eyes. Then what do you mean? You were blaming this one for not believing you and not sending people to search for the princess, now you're blaming this one's royal guards for being useless. King Dingyuan, this one thinks that you're sincerely looking for someone. Emperor, please forgive this minister for being disrespectful. This minister doesn't think that the one who is sincerely looking for someone is someone else. Chu Xiaoyang coldly said. You're talking about someone else, are you talking about this one? Mo Chuan was also filled with anger. When he saw Chu Xiaoyang, he wanted to beat him up. This minister doesn't dare. As for who it is, that person is well aware of it. Mo Chuan and Chu Xiaoyang's brows were both lowered as they stared at each other. The two of them had the same blood flowing through their veins and were both very handsome, but they were currently at daggers drawn and the atmosphere was ignited. The ministers could feel the tense atmosphere in the air and they couldn't breathe from it. Seeing the emperor and King Dingyuan staring at each other like fighting cocks, they were all confused. They couldn't understand why the two of them would suddenly go against each other. King Dingyuan was very disrespectful, actually daring to speak to the emperor like this. But the emperor's attitude was a bit strange, it was like he was deliberately targeting King Dingyuan. Everyone did not care about this matter, so they just stood there. They all lowered their heads, but their ears perked up, waiting to see a good show. Empress Dowager Zhou couldn't hold back and shouted, Emperor, Xiaoyang, what are you two arguing for? Go find someone for this widow. It's almost noon, if you can't find her, this widow wants to see how you face the Yixin crown prince. These words woke everyone up from their dreams. Mo Chuan and Chu Xiaoyang who were immersed in their anger turned cold. What use was there in arguing? Could it be that if they won, she would suddenly appear? Xiao Si, quickly send the order. Return to the palace and gather the palace guards. Have half of them go with the royal guards to find the princess consort. Mo Chuan gave the order again. Chu Xiaoyang's expression became a bit better, but he still looked at Mo Chuan with a questioning gaze. Mo Chuan did not even look at Chu Xiaoyang. He knit his brows and added another sentence. Xiao Si, there is a place we have to go first, we can't miss it. Yes, what place is it? Mo Xiao asked. Mo Chuan did not say anything and just looked over at the East Qin stands. Xiao Si immediately understood. This servant understands. This servant will immediately lead some men to search. Chu Xiaoyang's heart skipped a beat. He had suspected that it was Na Mu Qiu who took Qin Ning away, but in these past 3 days, he had sent quite a few secret guards to investigate the East Qin guest house. He had even sent people to infiltrate the guest house, but he had found nothing. Na Mu Qiu had not taken a single step out of the guest house in the past 3 days. The people he sent to the guest house did not see Na Mu Qiu's figure. According to the East Qin envoys, their crown prince was in closed-door cultivation for the competition in 3 days, so no one was allowed to disturb him. Chapter 754. When Chu Xiaoyang thought of this, he couldn't stay here any longer. Whether it was real or fake, he had to personally see it. Emperor, this minister also wants to go with Xiao Si. Mo Chuan softly said, What? Xiaoyang is worried that this one's subordinates aren't doing their job well, so you want to personally supervise them. Chu Xiaoyang's face turned red. Emperor, this minister is worried about the princess' safety. Alright, since it's like this, you can go with Xiao Si. Mo Chuan nodded, but you have to remember one thing, you can't disturb the East Qin people. You can only search in secret and don't give them anything to use against you. This minister understands. Chu Xiaoyang turned around and walked off the stage. He had a goal in his heart and his back was straight. He mounted his horse and Xiao Si followed behind him with his token. After gathering all the royal guards, the two of them rode out of the drill grounds. When the people in the East Qin stand saw this large formation, they all felt it was strange and began to whisper to each other. The West Chu ministers were all very anxious. There was less than an hour left until noon and the princess consort had disappeared. Even if they went to find her now, how could they find her in time? Chu Xiaoyang and Xiao Si had not even left the field gates when they saw an extraordinary dark horse appear in the distance. The rider on the horse was wearing a black cloak with a golden eagle embroidered on it. It was spreading its wings and looked like it was flying. The wind blew and the golden eagle flapped its wings. It was like it was alive as it fluttered behind that person. Without needing to see this person's face, Chu Xiaoyang knew who this person was. Na Mu Qiu. Chu Xiaoyang's pupils instantly shrank. This was truly enemies meeting and their eyes turning red. His legs tightened as he charged forward. Your Highness, you can't act rashly. You have to look at the big picture. Xiao Si reminded him from behind. Chu Xiaoyang angrily tightened the reins, but his eyes were still staring at Na Mu Qiu without blinking. Na Mu Qiu was riding on his rare horse. His black clothes made his figure look especially strong and straight. His complexion was very good today. His handsome face was very imposing, looking very spirited. In terms of handsomeness, he could not compare to Chu Xiaoyang, but his overflowing manliness was something that Chu Xiaoyang could not compare to. Na Mu Qiu completely ignored Chu Xiaoyang and Xiao Si blocking the road and the dense crowd of imperial guards behind them. Beside him was a gorgeous carriage that was carried on the shoulders of 8 strong East Qin warriors. The carriage was covered in beautiful brocade and there was a curtain of East Sea pearls hanging in front of it, giving off a lustrous glow under the sunlight. Na Mu Qiu slightly turned his body as if he was listening to the words of the people in the carriage. There was a trace of a smile at the corners of his thin lips, causing his stiff features to soften. Along the way, they attracted the gazes and discussions of countless commoners. But Chu Xiaoyang's eyes were only looking at Na Mu Kuo, not noticing the carriage beside him at all. It wasn't until Xiao Si let out a soft, eet sound beside him. The person in the carriage, could it be the princess consort? Xiao Si scratched his head with a bit of doubt. Chapter 755. Although he couldn't see anything, not even a blurry figure, he suddenly had a feeling in his heart. It's her. The person sitting in the carriage had to be her. Ning-er. Ning-er. He couldn't hold it in anymore and urged his horse to charge out. The sound of horse hooves rang out as he charged at the carriage. Your Highness. Your Highness. When Xiao Si saw this, he was filled with worry. He quickly chased after him, wanting to stop him, but how could he stop the mad tiger like Chu Xiaoyang? Although he couldn't stop him, there was naturally someone who could. Na Mu Kuo's eyes turned cold as he coldly looked at Chu Xiaoyang charging at him. He slowly pulled out a bow from his back and knocked an arrow. He loudly said, "Stop." Chu Xiaoyang acted like he didn't hear anything. Not to mention a single arrow, even if it was 1,000 soldiers and 10,000 arrows, they still wouldn't be able to stop him. Your Highness, be careful. Xiao Si's heart jumped into his throat as he cried out. In an instant, Na Mu Kuo's fingers loosened and the arrow left the bow. The arrow was like a meteor as it flew at Chu Xiaoyang. With a ping sound, it was the sound of the arrow piercing flesh. Following that, Chu Xiaoyang on the horse fell forward and fell to the ground. Your Highness. Xiao Si let out a sharp cry as his heart jumped out of his chest. He quickly jumped on his horse and charged in front of Chu Xiaoyang. He jumped off the horse and went to help Chu Xiaoyang, who was lying on the ground. The royal guards went into an uproar. They raised their weapons and quickly surrounded Na Mu Kuo and the carriage. Only they didn't have orders, so they didn't dare attack. Na Mu Kuo was surrounded by several thousand royal guards, but he was not afraid at all. He put away his bow and put it back on his back. He said a few words to the people on the carriage before looking up and letting out a loud laugh. That laugh filled with disdain made the royal guards filled with anger. Bastard! Without waiting for Xiao Si to help him, Chu Xiaoyang jumped up from the ground. The arrow did not hit him, but it pierced the horse's throat and the horse fell to the ground dead. Chu Xiaoyang never would have thought that Na Mu Kuo's target would not be him, but rather the horse he was riding. He was caught off guard and fell to the ground, making a fool of himself in front of the royal guards. How could he not be angry? His eyes were blood red and he was so angry that he wanted to kill someone. His right hand reached out to his waist and the spirit snake sword was unsheathed, reflecting the sunlight with a white glow. Your Highness, you can't. He is the East Qin Crown Prince. If you hurt him, the consequences would be unimaginable. Xiao Si broke out in a cold sweat in fear as he desperately grabbed Chu Xiaoyang's right arm. He could feel that Chu Xiaoyang's body was trembling with anger. Na Mu Kuo had a smile on his face as he rode his horse to Chu Xiaoyang's side. His tall body blocked a part of the sunlight. He looked down at Chu Xiaoyang with eyes filled with contempt. He narrowed his eyes and gave a laugh. Chu Xiaoyang, you want to fight with this prince? This prince will give you a chance in a bit. Do you dare fight with this prince? Chu Xiaoyang's chest was about to explode with anger. He stuck out his chest and slightly raised his chin, also revealing a look of disdain. Chapter 756. Very good. Does this mean you agree? Say it again loudly and let everyone hear it clearly. You agree to this king's duel, right? Na Mu Kuo's eyes sparkled. That's right, this king agrees. If this king is afraid of you, then I am not a man. Chu Xiaoyang loudly said. He already knew that the person in the carriage was Qin Ning. Thinking of how she had been in the hands of this beast-like man for 3 days and 3 nights, he wished he could take out a knife and cut him into 1,000 pieces. No, even if he was cut into 1,000 pieces, he would not be able to erase his pain and hatred. He really wanted to cut off the other side's flesh and feed it to the dogs in front of him. Even if Na Mu Kyo did not challenge him, he would have found a chance to fight with the other side. Na Mu Kyo's words were simply what he wanted. All right. Na Mu Kyo gave another proud laugh. Chu Xiaoyang stared at him, not understanding why he was so proud. Na Mu Kyo, you can leave, but she can't. He saw Na Mu Kyo turn his horse around and leave. He suddenly jumped up and stood in front of the carriage, opening his arms wide. Na Mu Kyo's face sunk and he said, Chu Xiaoyang, this prince respects you as a king, so I only shot your horse. However, if you dare harass my woman again, I don't mind sending an arrow into your throat. Your woman. Your woman. The one sitting inside is clearly my princess, my woman. Chu Xiaoyang was so angry that his body was trembling. His eyes were about to pop out and the veins in his fingers popped out. Humph, are you worthy? If you say she is your woman, why didn't she come out to look at you when you were shot off your horse? What makes you say she is your woman? Na Mu Kyo said with a cold smile. You. Chu Xiaoyang's face turned as black as a pot. Na Mu Kyo's words were like a knife stabbing into his most painful place. Although Na Mu Kyo's arrow was fast, it wasn't like he couldn't dodge it. He just didn't dodge it and allowed the other side's arrow to hit his horse. Then he fell off the horse. With his martial arts, he would not fall in this kind of sorry state, so he was deliberately putting on a show. He hoped that when she saw him injured, she would be worried for him and scream for him. But she didn't. The carriage was completely silent, not making a single sound at all. Even Xiao Si came over to help him, but she did not react at all. Less nonsense, don't block this prince's path. This prince still has important matters to discuss with your emperor. If I miss this time, can you bear the consequences? The royal guard saw that Chu Xiaoyang was fine and did not dare block them. They opened a path for Na Mu Kyo's group to pass. Chu Xiaoyang turned around. He did not look at Na Mu Kyo, rather he looked at the carriage as he slowly formed a fist. Yi. Yang. His. Yang. He wanted to rush onto the carriage and rip off the thick silk cloth to see if the person inside was her. He. Na. He. Yi. Yang. He could. He was afraid to see her cold and indifferent eyes. He would rather she hate him and view him as an enemy than act like a cold stranger and ignore him. Chapter 757. Na Mu Kyo protected the carriage and came to the stands. The envoys in the East Qin stands all stood up and bowed to Na Mu Kyo. Na Mu Kyo rode on his black horse and looked up, looking at Imo Chuan in the West Chu stands. Then he revealed a smile, revealing his snow-white teeth and revealing a proud smile. Imo Chuan's eyes suddenly became unfathomable, becoming dark and deep. He stared right at the carriage beside Na Mu Kyo and he couldn't help using more strength with his right hand on the armrest. She still did it in the end. This girl that didn't let him have a peace of mind. Imo Chuan's heart was filled with an indescribable feeling and the expression in his eyes became even more complex. His eyes slowly moved away from the carriage and met Na Mu Kyo's arrogant gaze. Respected Emperor, I have a very important matter to discuss with you. Na Mu Kyo's right hand pressed against his chest and he slightly bowed to Mo Chuan, giving him a bow. Mo Chuan gave a slight nod. His eyes were deep and dark, but he did not say anything. Na Mu Kyo raised his head and looked over the people in the West Chu stands, giving a confident smile. Your Majesty, for today's competition, I, Na Mu Kyo, admit defeat. There is no need to continue. He raised his voice and said this so that everyone around him could hear him clearly. He even said this in both East Chin and West Chu languages. When his voice fell, the stands on the east and west sides were filled with an uproar. The West Chu ministers all stood up and they all revealed looks of disbelief. Even Empress Dowager Zhou's fingers were trembling as she held Su Jin's hand and stood up, looking down at Na Mu Kyo. In the entire West Chu stands, only Mo Chuan's expression did not change. He had no expression as he looked at Na Mu Kyo, not saying a word. Na Mu Kyo seemed very satisfied with this result. He slightly raised his chin and said in a clear voice, "Not only does this prince admit defeat, there is no need to compete in the next competition. As for the tribute your country sent to my country this year, it can also be waived." The West Chu ministers could not remain calm. Everyone looked at each other and suspected that there was a problem with their ears. If it wasn't that there was a problem with their ears, then there was a problem with the crown prince's head. Although the East Chin envoys were surprised, they all followed the crown prince's lead, so no one had any objections. But the West Chu stands were like a pot of cold water being poured on the oil in a hot pan, instantly exploding. "Lord Liu, hurry up and pinch me. I think I'm dreaming. This isn't real, this isn't real." Chu Xiaobai also had a confused look on his face. He stood beside Mo Chuan and whispered, "Emperor, could he have a trick in the dark? I don't believe Na Mu Kyo would be this kind and give our West Chu such a large benefit." The corner of Mo Chuan's eyes twitched and he coldly said, "Of course he wouldn't be this kind." He also raised his voice and said in a clear voice, "Your Highness has given my West Chu such a generous gift. This one represents the West Chu citizens in thanking your Highness. Tonight this one will hold a banquet in the Cool Breeze Pavilion to thank your Highness again." You're tuning in to the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.